सागरे गपगरे गपधा पगरे ग सारे धरे सा.
And ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the finals of the UPL season. I want to thank you all for coming, welcome you, and honestly appreciate it's been a long, tumultuous, but across the board, a genuinely full time, and I cannot wait to dig into what we got going on today. But before we get into all of that, I do have my main man with me, like some fantastic new analysts, brand new faces. So let me start off by introducing a man I know very well, a person who one might say graphic design is his passion, my main man, Manny Sanchez. What's up with you?
Doing well. Fleed the hurricane, came back down to Maryland, and I'm chilling.
Wow. Hey, glad you're okay and you're not in knee-deep water. That is fantastic, sir.
Well, not anymore.
Yeah, that's what matters. And we do, of course, have previous CLL champion and the man who's tougher than anybody enough to get into the salty spittoon. That is someone who can play with both his hands and feet. We do have Saskia with us. What's up with you, baby?
Hello. I'm here in Vancouver. I'm ready to watch some good League of Legends from Maryville and Wildcard.
Hey, that's what we'd like to hear. Firstly, more Canada gang on the desk. That's what we'd like to see. Let's go. I'm sorry, Manny. I know you want to be one of us so bad. We just can't, and it's okay. Like, free healthcare is definitely okay, but
yeah.
But you know what else is OP? Oh, yeah, it looks fantastic, but you know what else is OP? The teams we have playing in tonight. Of course, it is the final, so we got Wildcard Developmental going up against Maryville University. Two powerhouses of the collegiate scene duking it out back and forth to claim the title for UPL. So with that being said, like we can see how we already got here, right? It was a long road, but pretty much like almost flawless seasons for both of these teams, which is what you absolutely love to see. With that being said, let's talk a little bit about these teams. So Manny, I'm going to throw to you first. Talk to me about this matchup and specifically focusing on Maryville.
Yeah, so Maryville, we saw a lot of them in Risen during the Proving Grounds. Obviously, they unfortunately, after coming in strong after the first two tournaments, they kind of petered out. They did that in spring too, and I think they're a little bit peeved that they are kind of stuck watching at home during Proving Grounds. And basically, they've been dominating the bracket, basically going 5-0 against both Striking Vipers teams, and they look like a force.
Oh, 1,001%, right? That's like a huge factor in a lot of it, considering how phenomenal of a roster they had. And on the other end, for Wildcard, right? Like this team in general, they say it's developmental for a reason. They trained a lot to become PG or even CL already. And for many of them, it is going to be their last game together. But for special someones, they're all moving on to, to the collegiate season. Saskia, I did want to ask you about your experience with some of these players, because I know there's one person in particular who's close to your heart.
Yeah, so particularly calling out Ivano. I actually recently played with Ivano, and he's now on Winthrop University. So it's interesting to see that this will be their last game playing together for the wildcard roster. So I'm interested to see how Ivano does when he does play full-time with Winthrop, which he is now, and see how he develops in there, because I really think he's a miniature version of Doxa, and I feel like he does have I'm going to come out and say it. I think he has a higher skill cap than Doxa once he reaches his full potential. So I really want to see him work really well, develop with Frost Force, develop with Sir Kenji, and really become a beast in the mid laner for the collegiate season.
High praise coming out for Ivano. So, I mean, I respect it, and I cannot wait to see what he brings out here today. I imagine the opponents he's already facing, he's going to need a little bit of luck, but I imagine, like you're saying, the skill that he has present in front of him should definitely serve him well, though. But, Saskia, sticking with you on this one, You played against Maryville time and time again. In fact, you've even beaten them, just in the past last season. So talk to me about your experience and facing them head on stage.
Yeah, so Maryville, I'm always afraid to play against Maryville because I played with Maryville for 4 years in the past. But with their new roster, I'm particularly afraid of Shady. He usually tends to have my number, and even my entire team at Winthrop University. We'd be playing a game, and all of a sudden, everything goes dark, and we're like, "Huh? Where's Shady?" All of a sudden, he comes up behind us with an Alistair combo, and then we start losing the game. So I'm really interested to see how Shady plays out in this series alongside with a strong side top in Chippies and Auto Orange. So I'm really interested to see how they play out the series against Wildcard.
Oh yeah, this should be a phenomenal time. Like you're mentioning, Shitty loves to play those roaming supports. He's very confident in them, and like I can't imagine him on something like the Jenna, bro, the Nami. Like that just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But Manny, on your end though, I did want to ask you a little bit about what we can expect out of Wildcard Developmental here today as well.
I mean, I'm excited to see how they go up against like a team that are Maryville's caliber, right? Because Wildcard Developmental, they like don't have as stacked of a roster as Maryville on paper, but in groups they were incredibly dominant. And in bracket, they've still been dominant. And I'm excited to see how all these players, a lot of them, some of them have played a little bit in collegiate, but others, for some of them, this is their their first like big team, and I'm excited to see how they kind of fare against basically the team that's been for a very long time the king of collegiate, until they were, of course, dethroned by Winthrop this year.
Just that fantastic. Yeah, exactly like you were saying. Yeah, it's for a lot of these guys, they may not have a ton of experience under their belt, but we've seen some of them in fact go in and out of the UPL season. In fact, Izo, who was a top laner there for Wildcard Developmental, is actually a previous winner for UPL a couple, I believe, around 4 seasons ago when he played on Romex's Simps, which, if you guys watch anything out of the UPL season, go back and watch that best of 5. It was a phenomenal time, and all these guys knew really how to bring the party forward. But some small points out of Wildcard Developmental, right? We know that how they developed so far as a team. They're really focusing on the overall macro play, some side lane control as well. So we should expect a lot of cross map plays coming out of them, from what I understand from talking to the player just earlier today. And on the side of Maryville, right, I find that a lot can be said towards their own roster. Like you mentioned, Saskia, they play a lot for the solo lanes. So with that, gentlemen, it is time for the ultimate question as to who do you have going into the matchup tonight? What can we expect? And I want to hear numbers. I don't want to hear cop-out numbers. So what's it going to be? 5-31, 39-11? Or 4-2. Saskia, I'll start off with you.
I'm gonna have Wildcard taking the games today. I want to support my boy Ivano. He's at Winthrop University, and I want him to really take the series against Maryville and get revenge for that St. Louis event that we had a couple months ago. So yeah,
I didn't hear a number, but what's up?
Let's go 3-0, baby.
Okay. Wow, respect, Manny. What you got for me, bro?
All right, I see your 3-0. I'm gonna raise you 3-0 Maryville. I think they're going to take it easy.
All right. Y'all got some spicy hot takes, and I don't know if I can interject just right now. So I'm going to pull the cop-out answer and say we're all winners because of the games we're going to get to see today. But if I'm being honest, like, look, I like both of these guys from both rosters, right? They're all phenomenal. I'm going to give it over to Maryville for today. And I'm going to give it 3-2. I think it's going to be competitive, and I think we'll have a lot of fun nonetheless. But with that being said, we do have our casters on deck as well as Beatdown Boulevard and mAAd Magical to take you through this BO5 series. So casters, y'all let me know, you got predictions for tonight or not?
He's asking us for our predictions, but all I really want are going to be some spicy games of League of Legends. It's the grand finals of the UPL between Maryville University and Wildcard Developmental. You know what? Screw it. I'll give a prediction.
Okay.
I'm going 5-game series, and I'm going to give it over to, drum roll, you know what? I'm going to go with Wildcard Developmental because Why not? I gotta go different than Ravish.
See, I was about to say 3-2 Maryville, but then you brought up such a good point there. Maybe I should also say Wildcard is going to win. But no, like, jokes aside, I think Maryville are going to come through. And with regards to the 5 games, I am kind of doing this thing that a lot of us casters do when we're making predictions, especially with score lines, where it's, oh, we want 5 games, so we're going to predict 3-2. Doesn't matter who we think is going to win. We were just wishing 5 games into existence. I know you do it a lot. I know Mazel does it a lot, and sometimes I do it too.
I mean, that it's always more fun when it's a close
yeah.
series, when the games go the full miles, especially if you get things with like silver scrapes, reverse sweep, potential. We'll see how that all is going to unfold here onto the Rift. These two teams have been playing quite the season. You have Maryville, who were part of the Proving Grounds qualifiers, 1 series away from getting themselves a ticket to the Proving Grounds. Unfortunately, they fell just short, but here they are in the grand finals of the UPL. They have a chance to be able to take a title, but it's up against Wildcard Developmental, a team with a lot of players that are part of different collegiate organizations, and this is going to be their last real bout together as one squad, so they would like to be able to lord over a trophy as they depart.
And I'm excited to see how it's going to go, especially on Wildcard Developmental side. They talked about how much they've improved throughout the season. Of course, being a newly put together roster, you always run into issues in the beginning of things, but they've improved a lot, not just on an individual level, but on a team level, being able to really improve their decision making when it comes to macro, cross map plays, I think is the biggest thing they talked about when we spoke with them. And it's really important going into a match against a team like Maryville, because realistically, we had some pretty scrappy matches these last couple of weeks, unless Maryville is involved. And in those instances, being sloppy doesn't work against this team. Maryville are very practiced. They've been together a long time for the most part, and that stuff doesn't work on them. Even if the kill score ends up being really high and not in their favor, through managing their waves correctly, playing for neutrals properly, they always manage to come out on top with clean gameplay. So Wildcard, they got to bring their A game today if they want to come out on top.
As we get into the bans, you see that Galio taken away from Ivana. We've even seen a lot of Galio, Twisted Fate, these cross-map champions that you were talking about. Then a lot of these teams have been enjoying playing and being able to impact these side lanes. LeBlanc is another one where even if she's not going to be able to easily rotate around, she wants to be able to play around these side lanes. And we know that both Spyrex and Ivana both love to play that champion.
That they do, but I would be surprised if Maryville picked that one blind, as long as they keep Rise on the table, as we actually had a pretty good example of what that matchup is like yesterday in our series, and it was it's not a good time if you're on the receiving end for the LeBlanc. So curiously enough, we are seeing the Camille hover make come through, and if they ban it, it does make a lot of sense. Chippy's one is really strong player overall on this roster, and with what teams in general like to do a lot of these days, it makes sense that they do want to at least target some high impact champions in the top lane. Camille especially being a very popular one these days.
I think it's also just Chippy's and how he's able to play on that champion. Doesn't matter if it's counter matchups. He's been able to absolutely dominate on that champion. So taking away any power possible and letting Izo be able to play something that he's going to be able to feel empowered on. That Aatrox is something that he has been playing a lot throughout the playoffs. And I would imagine that they want to consider that by taking away these top lane picks. Maybe even see if, well, actually, I'm kind of looking at this now. There's a lot of jungle options that normally would have been banned. We've been seeing that in the past patches, but haven't really been touched by either team. That LeBlanc got banned away by Maryville. Lee Sin, the flexibility he has, but he is more into the jungle, and especially taking that away from Auto Lunch.
Yeah, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Viego, those were the big 3 these last couple of packages when it comes to jungle, but there it is. If you're on red side and you ban away Lee Sin, you know Viego is going to their side. So Wildcard probably expected this. This is definitely not going to be one of those Pikachu face moments. Like, surely they won't pick Viego V1, right, guys? So I'm sure they have a thought, a way they want to go into this one. Trundle, worth noting, is still up if the Viego actually comes through. Okay, so it's actually a bait. I thought that was locked in, but it looks like
Same here.
Ziggs.
Yeah, going for Ziggs instead for Azog into that bot lane. And that is a champion that has been incredibly powerful throughout the last patches. Varus is another one that I actually would expect over the Caitlyn. There it is. I'd expect that to get locked in just because he has been it's pretty much the bot lane of Ziggs versus Varus that we see when both these champions are left open.
And at least you do have some sort of control in that bottom lane early on with that Varus. You are going to get pushed, but on the other side here, Ziggs, you get a lot of scaling, which is really nice, and you also have a safe laner in the bot side, because what do we know about Maryville besides they like to play through auto lane? Shady needs to move. He needs to get around the map, and to do that, you have to give Azog that kind of AD carry that can farm safely by himself when those appropriate timers come through. I saw what you were widening your eyes at too. If that blitz came through, dude, blind blitz.
Yeah, I agree. It's not really something that you blind pick, but you know me and my blitzcrank. I love my robot, but Rakan actually taken by Cleve. A good takeaway from Shady, someone who is an amazing playmaker for the side. I mean, the desk was talking about his flanks, his ability to come out of the fog of war and really catch people by surprise. Rakan, a great champion to be able to do so with. And Nautilus, I also like, because not only can he be that engage tool, but the non-committal aspect of that ult is something that is really nice for the side of Maryville if they just want to be able to back out of any fight or try to see if they can start off a pick.
Yeah, and it is a little more durable than the Rakan. One of his notable weaknesses in that he doesn't instantly get destroyed if he gets caught because of the aftershock. But still, Rakan's still a viable choice here. We're going to see the set come in. So this one is likely going into the top side, and we're likely going back to us.
Okay. We have a mistake. That's what happened there. And I was a little surprised by that one. Well, I actually like set, especially the flexibility you can have with said champion. The problem I had just looking at that is Viego and Zhao still left open by both teams. Neither of them really putting any priority onto either of those champions. And when you actually take a look back at how things have been unfolding, we see you talked about the Lee Sin that was banned away already towards Odd Orange, but he wasn't really touching that either when left open, either the Viego or the Xin Zhao. Zac was something that he played. Rumble was played. And even looking over to Rapid, not really putting too much priority on that themselves. It was Jarvan playing the J4 in the drafts against Mercenaries that they were actually able to find a lot of success with.
Yeah, that is true. Now, once we kind of go through a little bit of deja vu at the moment here, I think what we can kind of think about is kind of your point. Maryville haven't actually picked a jungler at the draft at the point in draft we were at yet. Xin Zhao is still up. I was talking about the Trundle is very common into the Viego. It's a really strong pick at the in the jungle right now. Even though
I like into Xin Zhao too.
Yeah, no, it's just good into basically a lot of bruising champions. You can't really flex it because you already had the Nautilus picked up on the Maryville side, but I think just having that as a jungle answer, I think is still really good.
Yeah, but I just want to see what we actually get locked in for the jungle, if either team really are going to focus on that element, or if they're going to actually continue to bait it out. The Olaf gets taken, and there it is. That's kind of what we're asking. This is why, if I'm Rapid, he's been playing Jarvan. Lock that bad boy in.
Yeah, and it's right asking each other to see magical. And this is an interesting one too, especially because you have Odd Orange on this pick, where we already talked about it. They like to play through him on the side of Maryville, so Olaf's that kind of champ. A lot of early game aggression, a lot of need for these early game leads for you to be able to kind of snowball yourself into a victory here, but also because you have some of these later game scaling options like Ziggs, it just helps you round out your composition as a whole.
As we get into the second part of bans, Silas taken away by the side of Wildcard Developmental, to me is already screaming out that they're going to lock in whatever they want for mid lane and hold on to the counter pick for Izo till the very end. That Rise, again, one of those champions that we see on the other side. Spyrex has been piloting to immense success prior, but TF, another champion, that rotating ability, the being able to move around the map, push out, and go all over the map is still wide open for the taking.
Yeah, and there's a world where they pick TF on 4 and then just save the counter pick for top lane. Really common option these days, just because of the fact how important it is to, one, kind of get these priority gaining matchups in the mid lane, and try to also translate those leads and move them up to a bruiser in the top side. That's why we saw Camille say, "What?"
Wow, I thought we were getting messed with there by our producer.
Me too. Nope, he always does that.
Wasn't the case. They actually lock in Ari here for Ivano. Kindred taken on the other side as well. Mid lane, Kindred for Spyrex?
Yeah, and...
Or wait, top lane Olaf for Chippies. What's more likely?
Wow, That's a great question. I mean, you know it's going to be Ari in the mid lane. I have never played into... Oh, wait, is it
Top lane Olaf.
top lane Olaf? Yeah, I guess so. I have a lot of questions. And then I at least... Okay, so it is top lane Olaf.
Wow.
You probably get that idea if you're wild card. And what's the counter pick going to be for them? That's the big thing here. Strong bruiser,
that's
potential carry champion. Oh,
Iso,
Oh.
are you going to do it for us? Are you going to lock that in? Mundo, I like Mundo personally just because Mundo does what Mundo pleases, and they lock that in topside. It is going to be a weak side top lane, unfortunately, for Iso. But you know what? I don't care because it's Mundo, and I will always accept my boy in the top lane, even if it's a weak side.
yeah, it's I'm a little less jazzed about the Mundo, to be fair, but I see what you're getting at. It's definitely not kind of the play we were expecting here. The Ari pick I'm certainly most curious about. It is, you're not going to get priority into someone like Syndra, so you're still going to be able to generate some kind of lead mid lane most likely. I'm curious to see what things are going to look like when it comes to support roams and jungle attention, especially because this matchup could swing the other way depending on how practiced Ivano is on the Ari. I've seen this matchup go both ways. I've experienced it both ways.
I mean,
There's a couple ways this could go.
He has played it here in the playoffs. It's not like he hasn't touched the champion just yet. If I do a quick look, it was against Not Zeus in the quarterfinals that he played that into Syndra, into Ziramaga's Syndra, and was able to do a lot of work on that one. And if I look at the build path, I'm actually really surprised because I was wondering if it was going to be the Faker tech, go for like Everfrost kind of build, be more of a utilitarian kind of mid laner. No, it was the Leandri's Anguish mid lane, utilizing that for the burn effect and trying to push out and move around the map. Probably is going to call for a lot of attention from Rapid early on because, like you talked about, right now Syndra has this absurd wave clear early that
Right.
if you don't get enough attention as Ari, you're not really going to be able to do much. You're not going to be able to move around the map like you want to, kind of like how LeBlanc is.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really nice about Ari, when she actually manages to come out, you end up putting both ADCs and opposing mid laners in a bit of a tough position. Ari alone can kind of make you think to yourself, oh, should I take cleanse? Because especially in mid lane, like one good charm, if the jungler is nearby, like you're done, and it just feels really difficult to play against. And this is especially nice because you see we have Azog in the bot lane playing the Ziggs. People do like to run the teleport, and that again, this is another instance where Azog is going to have to think, okay, do I go teleport or do I have to take cleanse because of how these team fights are going to look like? Because Ivano is going to be looking for these windows, playing through these pockets of dark vision to use that spirit rush to close the gap very quickly and try to go for that charm. And well, teleport's not going to help you there if he lands it.
No, and this is kind of why I talked about how Ari plays in a similar fashion to LeBlanc. You're more playing for the side lane pressure to be able to find picks elsewhere and impact the map like a normal, like more like a LeBlanc would, where it's not exactly about killing your mid laner. Of course you can, but it's about how you move around the map and help out, especially bot lane, the Ziggs, Nautilus, into the Varus, Rakan. You talked about the squishiness that Rakan has. Well, if you have an Ari to be able to blow up that Ziggs or Nautilus beforehand, before your Rakan's really in threat, who cares?
Yeah, and I mean, you brought up a good point too. The Rakan also has the charm with his ultimate, but yet another reason why we might see cleanse picked up, at least from Azog in the bottom lane. And like you said, because of that playstyle, I think as it has just seemed to be in this mid lane meta, mid being so important, so it's going to probably be just as important in this game as well. If Ivano can get a lead and start to try and run away with this mid lane matchup, he can start roaming. He can start affecting other lanes. And dude, Ari, when she's ahead, it's not fun to deal with as a squishy ADC. It's
not at all. But here we are, Beatdown. It is game one of the Summer Grand Finals for the UPL Maryville University Wildcard Developmental. In chat, let us know who you think is going to take this first game, if we're going to end up getting a sweep one way or another like the analysts predicted, or if the host and myself and Beatdown are right and we're getting the full 5 games. I'm excited to be here, but unfortunately, we're only getting a typical line of scrimmage. Nothing too exciting except that Iso able to sneak his way around, not putting the ward. Oh, there it is. He put the ward down, tossed out a cleaver onto Chippies.
Yeah, so that's a nice little bit of early vision gained there. Being able to keep an eye on where Odd Orange is going to be pathing is going to be really important, just because of well, one, how swingy this mid lane matchup can be, and how much of a problem Odd Orange is going to be if he gets ahead. And you can see now this invade is
Late
coming
invade.
through. Yeah, I think they just let this go.
Yeah, it seems like that ISO Rapid combination of a Mundo Jarfin not really going to have that dueling potential. Not in the Kindred Olaf. Olaf, one of the best dueling champions early
wasting
on into the
time.
game. In fact, just threw out the under 2, scared off Rapid. That is going to be an easy take on to that red buff.
It is, but they did end up spending a lot of time there. Chippies is actually going to fall behind in XP as a result of it, it looks like, because he's going to miss the first couple of minions. So we're going to hope that this one was worth it, depending on whether or not Rapid is able to go from his blue to Odd Orange's red, but it also depends. Is Odd Orange going to path red to red just to try and 3-quadrant Rapid? Because
I think you do.
yeah, because like Rapid's not going to be able to clear very quickly, and yeah, he's already going straight for it.
I will say, look at this bot lane priority going for the side of Wildcard Developmental. Shady's not going to be able to move up to really help contend around that red buff, but Rapid did not want to risk it with Ivano taking a lot of damage mid lane from Spyrix. It pretty much would have been the answer of Cleave showing up versus a Syndra, and we know one of those things is not like the other. Even Ivano right there taking a bad trade. Spyrix was able to get the flash out early out of Ivano, and now is going to be an easy target later on.
And Spirax doesn't take the cleanse. Oh, he's flashing it.
Flash away, missed the Dark Sphere, though. One of those connecting would have been the kill. Ivano barely going to be able to survive through it all.
Yeah, but you go flash for flash, and you don't end up coming out with anything, which is a little unfortunate. But so far, Spirax really asserting himself in this mid lane matchup. Now, wow, Chippies he's got the push, and he's watching Rapid. Yeah.
Yeah, looking for Rapid. Picks up the axe to toss out another Undertow to get these slows. The TP was used by Ivano to get back into lane, but you're not really going to have that great backup of an Ahri who's been pushed underneath the turret consistently. You can see that Chippies is continuing to harass Rapid, even taking some of those chicken nuggets.
Well, yeah, that is brutal. He's using what priority he had just to help Odd Orange, and this kind of fits with what we're talking about. He's the guy they play through, and especially on a pick like Kindred, where you can be a late game hyper carry, it does make sense to commit to this point here, where you make it so that Rapid can't be going for Scuttle Crabs. You got to fight him. He's got to fight for his life just for some chicken nuggets, Magical.
That's just not nice. He's getting bullied pretty hard, not allowed to eat his own lunch. But at the same time, looking at how he's doing in terms of CS, he's not too far off Rapid. Sure, he did get 3 buffs. We have to keep that in mind. But he is still at least keeping up slightly against Odd Orange. He's gone back, had to buy a Ruby Crystal, longsword, and he's booking it immediately to try to contend around the Scuttle Crab. But with the fact that you already have Odd Orange in the area, the bot lane from Azog and Shady had actually gotten themselves priority back away from Crazy Goose and Cleave. Should be an easy take of that the Rift Scuttler by the side of Odd Orange, but we might have a Smite fight. Smite goes over to the side of Rapid, so Rapid denying yet another stack from Kindred.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, because of how quickly Odd Orange got the first mark top side, he ended up also getting the mark bot. If he managed to get both, that would have been just a huge push for his power spike here. But now, Crazy Goose and Cleave.
Flash. That's going to be a nice interrupt with the knock of the flash coming in. Exhaust and Ignite had already taken away, but the flash coming in from Shade to be able to bring back in first blood for the side of Azog, and with the TP, Spyrex should be able to clean up the kill and gift it over to Odd Orange.
And there you go. You're seeing the result of Spirax asserting his early control over Ivano in the mid lane. He's the one who's going to be able to affect the other lanes. He's the one who's going to allow Azog to get out of that situation unscathed without actually losing his life. And now he gets the TP back to the mid lane with that lost chapter. Wow. Big spike for Ziggs, and with that tier, he's gonna have a lot of trouble running out of mana.
And I like that play from Maryville. They keep Spyrex bot lane to shove in, get himself the minion, so that way that Azog can go mid lane himself and get a little bit more gold there. Not really having to worry about the trade back and forth, who's going to get it, because honestly, with 2 mages like they have, it doesn't matter which lane they're in, so long as they're getting the gold.
And this is kind of the macro we were talking about here, but let's hold on to that.
Nice flash away, but the follow-up dodged away from the charm. Odd Orange still alive, but here comes Rapid, interrupted by Shady. Flashed in on top to be able to use that one last auto attack with the passive to get the kill. So with one dead in the dirt, Wildcard will be able to take that and now rotate towards the top side since Chippy is pretty far from home, not respecting the fact that so many members of Wildcard Developmental were in the area. Yeah. He does have the Ragnarok to flash away utilized, but there it is. Going to be popped to try to escape, but so much damage from Ivano did to get a second kill for Wildcard.
Now, both flash and ult out from Chippies, but they end up taking him down. Like you said, wanted to get the wave shove, but is punished for it in turn here. But overall, Maryville do hold on to a very slight lead, and now you can see it because of that play committed topside. Crazy Goose is on his own at the moment here. Cleve is walking his way back down, so that's control over this bottom side of the map for Maryville. They can go for this dragon, or they could just go for a deep ward, keep an eye on where Rapid is, get the timer on his blue buff.
I was looking at the Scuttle Crab that just spawned a second mark right there, spawning perfectly for Odd Orange. What luck to be right in the right place, right time to continue to stack up. That's a third one now for Kindred.
And ever closer to that 4 mark spike, and here's Shady.
Yeah, but Ivano should be safe. Flash about to come up. There it is. Now it's up. But the thing is, it didn't matter. He was so far back by his turret that without any mana from Spyrex, I would have been surprised had they committed for the dive.
No, now we're going to see potential skirmish here top side. It's looking like Herald is what both of these teams want to fight for. No Ragnarok.
No flash either. There's no escape there from the Viking. Second kill for Ivano.
That's actually a big deal. So even though he is behind in CS, I think he's either even or slightly ahead now because of the kills that he has picked up, which is a big deal considering how this early matchup went. Yeah, so as a result, Ivano still going to be that threat as he reaches that 1 item spike, which, I mean, considering what he's built, we're a little while away from that, truthfully magical. But when we get there, Ivano can dive in and threaten this Ziggs, and maybe then he'll wonder if he should have taken Cleanse. But right now we have Odd Orange. Now that he has the timer on the blue, he is looking to see if he can grab it, maybe dive.
Not respecting the fact that I thought that for sure Cleve would have at least looked to engage Battle Dance back away just to force out of Odd Orange, but if you look at the minimap, Rapid being topside, Ivano having just recalled, they made the wiser call, the more patient kind of element. Say we have to back out and concede a 4th stack to Odd Orange.
Yeah, and there it is. You get the expanded range on the W, the extra auto attack range, and this is a big deal for Kindred. So Odd Orange is well on his way, even though you have a trade of quadrants when it comes to the jungle. Actually, it looks like Rapid will come out just a little bit on top. This is still a big spike for the Kindred.
Yeah, it's not really that great because you gave up a 4th stack, not even like a simple stack, the 4th one.
Yeah, and you also lose out on the dragon as well, which they're going to grab too. So Maryville have, because of the control they've exerted bottom side, Chippy's done, right?
Chippy's, he doesn't have flash. He's got Ragnarok, but it's not like you're going to be able to escape that one. That's his 3rd death of the game. He had that early aggressive tendency that has now been completely mitigated by Wildcard.
And in fairness, there's a lot of attention going topside from Wildcard. It's the way they're wanting to play this one out here. And as a result, Rapid's 2-0. You got a handful of assists here. You're able to, they're not going to take, they are going to take the turret. So there you go. You already have it. So ISO can move around the map, shove this top wave much deeper, and try and make some plays here.
Yes. Now Ivano mid lane getting shoved out pretty heavily. Spyrex gonna make sure he's pinned under the turret. I kind of want to go back to what you're talking about, this top lane focus out of Wildcard Developmental. Because when you look at Maryville, Chippy's Odd Orange have been players that we have been seeing Maryville tend to play around. They are usually such a strong topside team. They have that focus. I mean, they get the Olaf top lane. We don't see that too often anymore. But here, he has been completely shut down in many regards. The only thing he's got going for him is that he's slightly ahead of a Mundo in CS. And when you're slightly ahead of a Mundo as Olaf, things definitely are going pretty wrong, and Maryville are going to have to go back to the drawing board and try to see if they can play around either Spyrex or Azog. Granted being, both those players are incredibly worth playing around.
Right, and Odd Orange himself is in a pretty good spot as well. You still have Shady, who can be that big play maker, the engage with all the tools that Nautilus has in his kit. So I don't think it's necessarily done and dusted like you're saying. There are still options Maryville can play through, and Chippies can still try and threaten the backline when Maryville are trying to make a play themselves in these 5v5 scenarios. You can run through with the Ragnarok, ignore the Charm, ignore like anything except the Cataclysm, really.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, the fact that Odd Orange also has these stacks is going to be pretty nice. Though, Chippies, doesn't matter, 0-3 was able to get a solo kill over ISO.
Yeah, it cost him his splash, but you traded it for ISO, so it ends up being worth it in the end here. And on bottom side, we see Crazy Goose. Again, it's just this trade of pressures on the top side. Maryville have Odd Orange controlling this bottom side of the map. You force, with his presence, the flash out of Crazy Goose, and it's tough. He's immobile as it is, being a virus, so he needs to be really careful in these team fight scenarios where Shady can get on top of you, Chippies can get on top of you, like we were just saying.
And Chippies pretty much made me eat my words there, because I'm like, oh, he's behind, he's too far behind, he's not going to be able to win, he doesn't even have a mythic yet. Solo kills Mundo, who already has the Sunfire Aegis. That's impressive stuff from the top side of Maryville, and definitely leaning into the greens you're talking about, where they're definitely not out of this game. You also have Odd Orange, who even if he's only got one kill and died once, he's been able to stack up, doing well. You've got a dragon to their name, being an ocean as well. They can play around the Cloud Dragon that's going to come up next, or even try to see if they can set up around some mid lane focus. If they want to be able to bring in someone like Azog to really knock over that only 3-plated turret mid. Bop.
Imagine you almost finished your recall and that happens.
Oh, I do that all the time. I love doing that. It's so
I
nice.
can't play League with you.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. It's fun stuff. It's for me, at least. But going into this game and fun stuff that we're seeing from the two teams, it's pretty even at the moment. We're only 13.5 minutes into the game, but we got to keep in mind, these are two teams that tend to end games really fast. You look over to Maryville throughout playoffs, their longest game has been 26 minutes and 10 seconds. For the side of Wildcard, when they win, it's under 30 minutes. Only when they lose does it tend to stretch past the 30-minute mark. So the fact that we're seeing this right at the moment, be a little bit calm, a little bit patient, is more to me leaning into how Maryville like to play, where eventually they're going to find that right play, the right time to just immediately steamroll a game.
And it's still very possible here, considering Wildcard, in this scenario, they don't really want this even gold state. I think they want to be ahead with this route they have, especially with the fact that Maryville are the ones who are stacking these dragons. So a Dragon Soul for Wildcard would be very late, but you can see they're starting to set up for it. They have some deep vision in Maryville's jungle, and they have pretty much full control over the river here, even getting the Scuttle Crab. So this dragon is a big priority for them, as they need to stack for the soul, but even then, it's going to be first dragon on 14 minutes for Wildcard. It's going to be a very late soul, Magical.
Yeah, it is. And if they can get the Cloud Dragon here, getting a little bit of cooldown reduction on your ult is going to be nice, but they're not going to let that go down too easily on the side of Maryville. They got the TP in from Azog. 5 members stacked to make sure they're going to be the team that can stack up the dragons and look for an early soul.
And Wildcard are just going to back off. They don't want to trade Iso's TP. They'd rather just let him push, try to threaten this tier 2, which he should be able to take. Yeah, but the thing is, though, you pretty much just destroy any hope you had at a Dragon Soul win con here. Wildcard are going to need to probably try and set up some plays as time goes on, try to get themselves further ahead, or over time, Maryville will outscale them.
Well, this is my question for you. When we look at Wildcard and what they can do, when or where can they force any of these fights? Is it going to be around the top side?
It's probably going to have to be at this point, with Iso being as tanky as he is at the moment here. I think Wildcard should go for this Rift Herald and try and see if they can take down this mid-tier 1 turret. The fact that Wildcard is holding on to theirs is a big deal for them, because if they take down Maryville's, they can push their vision line much further, and this is going to be really important in a couple minutes. When Baron ends up coming up, you can put deep wards in the blue side jungle of Maryville and have yourself a better setup.
At the moment, Still waiting for the two teams. They're trying to set up a round at the Rift Herald, but Maryville are already pinging onto the objective. Very little vision has been placed down by Wildcard, at least none that has been able to stand the test of time. It's all been cleared away by Maryville right there. Even with Crazy Goose here, Cleve nearby, they have nearly all the members. The only one they're missing is Rapid, the jungler, who could easily take away that objective.
He doesn't look like he actually wants it. So once again, Wildcard are just going to back off from the neutral. They won't get that Rift Herald, which means now their mid-tier 1 turret is the one that's under threat, because I can only imagine Maryville are going to drop it in that mid lane just to really make sure they can take down that objective. But I think for now, Hot Orange will use that empowered recall just to go back to spawn, get himself back on the map. He has the Kraken Slayer already finished, so this is a pretty big deal for him as well.
I'm just kind of worried for Wildcard. I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger, to find the play, to find the pick needed to really take control of this game. But Maryville never are really giving them that opportunity. Anytime they're the one stepping forward, they have that clear idea of how they want to take an objective, take a turret, take control. That Wildcard just can't stop.
No, and this is what we were talking about when we say how clean Maryville plays. Why Wildcard needed to bring their A game in this series. Things are not going so well in game 1. I say that, but it's worth noting it is a pretty even gold state, but it seems like Wildcard are just starting to really slowly bleed here.
Yeah, and the thing is, right there, this ward placed down by the side of Maryville to spot out both Cleve and Rapid when they wanted to be able to jump over the wall and try to see if they can engage a fight. They both knew they couldn't. With the positioning of Spyrex and from Shady, they knew that that was warded, because why would you be playing that far topside when you know that it's going to be easy for the rest of Wildcard to show up unless you had full control there? Right now, beatdown, this is just looking like it's a slow bleed for Wildcard, even though the gold is technically in their favor. I just am wondering when they're going to actually be able to utilize that, if ever, because all the while, all the longer this game drags out, they're getting more items into someone like Odd Orange. He's already got a Kraken Slayer completed.
Yeah, and this is why it feels weird.
18.5 minutes.
This is why it feels weird to say, like, that Wildcard is bleeding, but if you just look at the gold differences here, but like they're slowly losing out on these neutrals. They got the first Rift Herald, but haven't gotten a neutral since then, and Maryville are 1 minute away from picking up their potential soul point here. You're seeing some recalls come through, but Chippies is already pushing this bottom wave in, is going to take a crack at this bottom tier 1 turret. If they can push this wave that much further, they can very easily set up this vision line.
Well, there's a flash from Chippies. The one tool that he has to get away from a Cataclysm of Rapid. But that's a lot of attention now spent by Wildcard trying to see if they can kill Chippies for a 4th time into this game. In fact, he's now got a bounty on his head just because of how much he's been farming up.
Hey, it ain't much, but it's honest work, Chippies. Actually, wait, right as you bring it up, it's gone now. I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you're losing out a little bit on the farm, you're not keeping up as much. He's probably going to come back up momentarily, but he's got himself a Wit's End completed. Yep, there it is. And here's the engage. Ivano having to use the Spirit Rush over the wall to be able to escape. A TP used by Izo, hoping just that they could catch out any member from Maryville overstepping and chasing Ivano, but unfortunately the TP was used for nothing. Only a little bit of control around the Mountain Dragon to deny the soul stacking on the side of Maryville, but then mid lane, you can see they're already looking for a play, and here comes the TP.
Yeah, no ult from Shady. The depth charge is not available here. There's a world where Wildcard can burst this one, but Maryville are hot on pursuit.
Yeah, they're going to get a little bit of chip damage onto Izo on the other side. Maryville then able to enter in the pit, and now with Izo getting a little bit of damage back onto Shady. The re-engage, it was stolen away by Rapid with the flash, a lot of damage on top of him, and here's the Lancer's fight with Cleve taking himself out of it. Rapid went back in, but he dies immediately to one strike of those vicious strikes on the side of Chippies with one dead, even though you were able to steal away the Dragon. Maryville retain control.
Yeah, and this is rough. You want to ideally take this and just get out, but you lose a couple members in the process here on the side of Wildcard. You do deny the soul, or the soul point rather. So it's going to take an extra 5 minutes for Maryville to actually collect that mountain soul should the game get that far. But we're in the same scenario here. Like, look how hard it is for Wildcard to actually fight here, even in a situation that somewhat favors you when Shady doesn't have his ultimate to start things off. Still, they weren't able to come out on top.
No, and that's just unfortunate for the side of Wildcard. They were the ones with the setup. They were the ones with control. And TPN from Ivano, he's looking for the pick onto Spyrex, hoping that he's too far away from home, getting a little bit of damage with the help of Electrocute. But Shady's on the other side. The charm will connect. The damage is there, but the killing spree from Ivano comes out first. Shady now has to Spider-Man his way out of there. The Rapid's on the other side. Here's a Cataclysm on top of the Anchorman. Double kill for Ivano.
Yeah, that was pretty nifty coming out from Ivano. He ends up getting the double with a little help from Rapid. And these are the plays that we're looking for, Magical. This is what I want to see from Wildcard. They need to be active. We need a lot of proactivity from them. They're going to come out here in this game 1. And getting more kills onto Ivano is impactful because of that ability to assassinate. You saw what the 1v1 looked like against Spirax just now. Imagine if on the other end of it it's Azog on the Ziggs. If it's pretty much anybody other than Chippies, they'll just get deleted.
It's a great pick from the side of Wildcard, but now my question is, where do they move from here? You've got 2 kills, you put more gold into Ari. When do you start to move that control around the top side of the map, around this Baron, and actually take the objective for yourself?
Oh, it's tough. They have some good amount of Baron damage with this Varus pick, but even because he goes lethality, the DPS isn't incredible. But it's going to be...
It's Eclipse, not the typical Duskblade that we kind of see. I know we see this sometimes here with an Eclipse of Varus, but it does give him a little bit more of that armor pen.
That's true. So it definitely, I'm saying it's good in team fights, but the thing is, it's not as great for Baron takes compared to other traditional AD carries where they offer a lot of DPS against neutrals. So it is tough for them to be able to sneak it if they find themselves a good wave state where they can try and force the teleport out from Maryville. Like, for example, you have Spirax pushing on the bottom side because he has the teleport. If you can force the TP out for the Baron start and then walk away, that's an ideal situation for you.
Oh, that damage from Chippy's looked pretty big, and he turns it around. 1v3 makes it a 1-for-1 trade.
Oh, but the shutdown goes over to the support and cleave. So that feels really bad on Wildcard's side. And because of all the attention, look what's happening. Maryville, again, very happy to split and go to the other end of the map and get the trade. It's a lot of gold they just got in their pocket. Another turret they've taken on Wildcard's side of the map. And it's just them answering Wildcard blow for blow.
Worst too is it's Rapid who died in that trade. Chippy's taking him down, means there's no turn onto Baron since they saw Odd Orange bot lane. You can't do it even though you're like, oh, the jungler's bot lane. If you turn, you always risk that it's stolen away.
Right, it's just an insane idea. So I agree. They can't go for it, and all they can really do is try to continue setting up the vision here on this top side of the map. You see they have wards both in the river and deep in the blue side jungle. But now, one thing you got to consider, Dragon is coming up 50 seconds. Are you going to let this one go, or are you going to play for it if you're a Wildcard? You got to imagine Maryville are going to be very cognizant of that. If Wildcard go down, it's Wildcard's second Dragon. Like, they'll just walk up to the Baron.
Yeah, but I feel like Maryville, it's not that big of a thing if they win or lose it, right? Because they still got that great scaling for the side. You can argue that Wildcard have some as well in Ivano, in your Mundo too. But looking at a Kindred and how that's going to be able to rip through them, even having this wit's end from Chippies, these are going to be a lot more of a threat in the middle of all these fights than people really realize. So I'm just waiting to see how Maryville play around this. And we know they play it patiently. Look at Chippies and his ability right now to be able to get into the back line.
Right, and you can see it. It's all dark there for Maryville. They don't know he's there and won't know until right about now.
Yeah, Izo walks right into him. They got the engage. They've got the damage onto Rapid. They even used Unleash Power. Chain of Corruption was only onto Shady. Chippies was able to at least keep the tank's attention the entire time. Dragon is still up. They've sent Odd Orange to be able to take that pretty easy without any answer coming from the side of Wildcard.
And there it is. You see the trades coming through. Actually, Ivano
He'll be
No,
fine.
he's fine. He's fine. So and I love this too. You leave Auto Orange by himself. You move mid to make sure Wildcard can't get anything off the back of this. No mid tier 1. No extra gold in exchange for this dragon. And that's going to be a soul point locked in here for Maryville. And for the next 5 minutes, Baron, the only objective to speak of on the map here. So both of these teams have their sights set on the top side, but no longer will there be a chance for Wildcard to try and make some kind of trade.
No, unfortunately for them, they just have to be patient and wait it out. I'm at a loss right now to wonder what Wildcard can do, because look at how blue the vision is on that minimap. How little control Wildcard have, despite the fact that they are still neck and neck in gold against Maryville.
Yeah, and the vision has been largely very good for Maryville. Even in situations where it's good on Wildcard's sake, they just end up being forced out because they can't take the 5v5. So unless you get a pick, unless you have a TP advantage in some sort of skirmish here, it's really difficult for Wildcard, who are now almost about 1,000 gold behind, to actually find a way into these fights. And now, what I was talking about could be done here by Maryville.
They've got a lot of damage on a Cleave. Unleash power.
Wow.
He's trying to escape
burning?
with the ticking
Oh, the
time
ult
bomb.
in!
Bomb into
Wow.
the back line.
I mean, no support. It doesn't look like they want to turn on the Baron, but it just Maryville continuing to find these picks. Shady starting things off with a great hook onto Cleave is what ended up getting this done. I think the pink's coming through. They are going to go on to the Baron and start it off. Chippies is TPing in. It's all starting now. Because Cleave has to walk back, there isn't a world where you can take this 5v5. Rapids has to steal.
Gotta go for the miracle. He's trying to get inside the pit, but they have vision on top of him. Auto Orange, though, took a lot of damage immediately from that. Rapid in the backline with the Cataclysm flashed away. Flag and drag. Can he get to the pit in time?
no, it's
They
too
couldn't
late.
get there. It was secured by the side of Maryville.
Oh, there it is. The gold lead has spiked suddenly to 3,000 in Maryville's favor. Now they're the ones in control. Vano, all he can hope to do is shove in this mid wave, but it is paltry compared to what Maryville have gotten for themselves here. They got the Baron take. They're going to take more gold as well with some of the remaining outer structures on the side of Wildcard's side of the map, rather. And man, it's tough because this game has been pretty slow in a sense up to this point, Magical, but I think this is the beginning of the end here, unless Wildcard makes something happen.
I completely agree with you, Beatdown. I'm not sure what Wildcard can do, what they have left in the tank to be able to fight back against Maryville. Baron buff on all the heads of the members of Maryville squad, pushing up towards this tier 2. Even though Wildcard Developmental have a setup, Cleave on a side, looking to see if he can jump in on top of either Auto Orange or Azog, they just don't have enough control. They have relented so much of that vision earlier on that even with Cleave set up perfectly, they couldn't actually pull the trigger.
Right, and you can see the carries of Maryville, very disciplined, respecting the fact that, okay, many members of Wildcard are off the map. Maybe they're converging on me. Let me just walk away here. They're leaving very, very few openings to speak of and are just continuing to take everything here from Wildcard. Cleave has to use Trillias.
God! Crazy Goose nearly just dying to Chippy. He's level 17. We're 30 minutes into the game. That is a 4-level discrepancy between the top laner and ADC of Wildcard. He cannot fight this, and everything is being taken away from Wildcard during it.
Right, and this is a pretty successful Baron buff. 1 minute left, but I think we've seen the most of the damage that is going to do to Wildcard side of the map. The gold lead is up to about 5,000 now, and Chippies, I think he's going to walk away from this one.
Fight against him. I don't think Aizo wants to actually contend against Olaf. They had put so much into stopping him early on, and it was all for naught. He has got 3 items now completed, and you can see that anybody that steps up to him, he is going to take on.
Yeah, and maybe more than one, too. And this is perfect because now we're 30
Maybe all
seconds
5.
away from Maryville's 4th dragon. This will be the Mountain Soul, and that would really be the nail in the coffin here. The extra shielding, the resistances they've gotten from the individual Drakes means Wildcard won't have a way of actually cutting through the members of Maryville.
And that Scatter the Weak absolutely eviscerates Wildcard. They can easily dive into the back line. ISO going the wrong way, trying to see if he can at least force out the members of Maryville to follow me, follow the leader, but without your mid laner, Ivano, the one who is able to get all the gold for your team. You don't really have the fight left anymore. The soul to be picked up by Maryville to then now reset for a push for win.
Man, convincing game one here so far from Maryville. They played it very controlled, but haven't allowed Wildcard really a way in. From the jump, no matter what play Wildcard tried to make. And now they're just walking it in here. Magical. They're going to look for this potential final 5v5. At the very least, we're probably going to see 2 inhibitors go down.
We're going to have Ivano spawn right about now to try to contend one last time. Shady taking the meat cleaver to the face. Izo on the other side loses out on that CC immunity, but with a little bit of damage and a light splash away from Shady, they've got a lot of damage on top of him. Chippy's into the back line, looking for Crazy Goose. These undertows are ripping apart everybody. He can easily take on the entire word, and he's got his cleave, he's got his kills. Izo's on top of the Lamb's Respite, but unfortunately, even as a tank, even though you took down Lamb and Wolf, you too will fall into the dirt.
Oh, we're looking at 30-second spawn timers, Magical. Wildcard are likely done and dusted here in game one. The bot wave is coming through. I imagine Azog is backing just to teleport back in here, as there it is. Game one is over, and Maryville have taken it.
Well, maybe there's going to be one last fight from Ivano. Had a Banshee's Veiled Shield, but unfortunately has lost it. And Chippies can tank up that final Nexus Search. Game number one. Going to go the way of Maryville University. They're here to reign supreme, and they're here to win it all.
Yeah, and already a convincing start from, like Robbie said, one of the titans of the collegiate scene in Maryville University. And I think one of the things we got to think about, just looking at this game from kind of the beginning, was that I think the draft was a little bit of a problem here. Interestingly enough, I don't necessarily have an issue with the Ahri pick, but I saw very few win cons, especially once the early game didn't really seem to go the way of Wildcard, especially when you have that Mundo top side. Usually we see more, in some cases, something like an Olaf, Camille, Darius, something like that. Those bruisers that can help you win out in these team fights. But Mundo doesn't really do that. He's just really tanky.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. Unfortunately, it's just, well, I like Mundo. I like what he does. It just, you needed something that was going to help out the team a little bit more. Like maybe even an Ornn would have worked out really well.
True.
I know that Izo has played that in the playoffs already, and they played that actually when they had Ahri last time to give them some more of that push towards the late game, which they probably needed here in this game one. But you know what? Game one is taken by Maryville University. You have a full best of 5 still left to play. We're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, Ravish and the rest of the desk, we'll break down that first game, so don't go anywhere.
absolutely fantastic way to start off game number one. Wildcard said they're ready to get scrappy, and no team, I find, really held back any sort of punches. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Rapture Gravity here yet again by Manny and my man Saskio, bro. Gentlemen, let's talk a little bit about that game, because considering what we just saw before, I find a lot of indications were already given over depending on what we saw between both of these teams. And that one main thing is that draft. So Saskia, break that down for us.
Yeah, so as we see here, Wildcard went for more of an engaged type Wildcard went for a more engaged style composition, and I liked how Maryville responded with the Kindred, so they had a lot more disengage. However, there was a massive draft gap when the R4 came through from Wildcard. With the R4 Ari, I wanted to see them pick R4 top lane because we already know Izo loves playing those tanks top. So pick him weak top side, let Ivano counterpick, and then they can go from there. I dislike their 4-1 draft or even deathball draft because Maryville countered that perfectly. I wanted to see something more along the lines of a split push, so maybe an Echo 5P if they still pick Syndra, and that would have gave Wildcard a lot more options to maybe win through, and instead of what they had this game.
Yep, for sure. And what we were looking at, continuing throughout that entire early game as well, from plays like that, Manny, like you saw that even though Maryville had somewhat of the draft advantage in terms of the composition, it just seemed like, if they're on a football field, the bounds are here and they're running past every one of them.
Yeah, it was kind of a greedy early game for Maryville. That's kind of the best way to put it. They had that we saw the first blood there, and obviously they did a good job on that. But afterwards, it is kind of goes from bad to worse here, where Chippy gets caught and dies overextending 3 times top lane. Now, these were not weird ganks. These were not cheese plays, and all of them, Maryville knew where they were, right? He died multiple times top lane. Sometimes where it's like, hey, like I have 3 people. There's 3 people in the enemy bot quadrant, right? Like we know exactly where the enemy top and jungler are. It's okay to shove. He was just like staying for plates and got killed several times, but it didn't matter because Maryville's comp was just that much better. They were able to run through and basically just start winning fights. And once that Olaf hit critical mass, he's basically unstoppable.
And I find that was really the overall long and short of it, right? Because they allowed Maryville's comp to scale up, and once Maryville decided to stop running past the end zone each and every single fight, that they came down to the 5v5s, and they performed honestly fantastically across the board. Like they were doing genuinely well when it came down to stall skirmishes. The Ziggs ultimates were hugely impactful, and whenever you tried to engage onto Chippy's too, that Ragnarok is such a beautiful get out of jail free card. It didn't necessarily matter what they really did though. But Saskia, coming back to you on this one, right? If you're looking at Wildcard right now, what do you want to add more to the composition? I know you mentioned about much more split push, maybe even an Echo, but do you think it was just the Ari pick that was just a little bit out of whack?
Yeah, so going into game 2, I want to see Wildcard still continue to draft engage. Rapid plays a really strong Jarvan. I like Maryville Galio ban. However, it's okay to pick engage. I just want them to pick properly around it. So maybe ban out the Kindred because that champion soaks up engage very well. And maybe think about the Syndra too, but I want to see them pick more champions that will allow them to have more win conditions. Rather than this game, they actually had 0 win conditions. So maybe play split push on the Ivano and see if he can take down Spyrax at the side lanes. And that should give them a good win condition to work with.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Ari was a bad pick specifically. I just think where they picked it was the problem, right? Like if you're going to give Izo Mundo, like why not just do that on R4? Why wait till R5 to pick it? Like just give your mid laner counter pick. And I think if Wildcard can just tighten down the draft, they came out swinging, and it was really impressive. Ivano, you can see here, had some crazy highlight reel plays on this Ari. He's able to kill off Spyrax here and basically just clean up 2 kills. And it was, he had a really strong game. I don't really think that the pick or the play on it was the problem. He started out 4-0. I think they just need to tighten up draft.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Even though early game was definitely a little bit back and forth, yeah, but how he went along through the entire game, you can see that he's extremely practiced and poised on the champions. But compositionally, it didn't really adhere to what I find Wildcard may have wanted to do, because with the way Maryville played, they just kind of got around pretty much everything they wanted to happen and past all the late dragons and everything else that happened as well. Because you can even see the entire team fight, bro. Walker had the upper hand, but Cheapest comes from the backside, and then suddenly things go extremely weird. But to be fair, at this point, like Maryville are very, very far ahead, but they just seem to have Wildcard's number at every which way.
Yeah, I mean, how do you ever kill Chippy's there, right? He's Ragnaroking Olaf with like Mountain Soul, and he's just unstoppable against that comp.
Fantastic, though, but I mean, going forward, it remains to be seen how Wildcard makes a change going to game number 2. With this is still a best-of-5 series, and this is still our finals. But for now, I'll to see what comes out. Maybe, they want to play like Zach. That would be kind of fun. But it's a man can only hope necessarily. I'll leave it over to you, Magical Beatdown. Do you think we're going to see the Ari again? Please say yes.
Well, it's all dependent on our wild cardlings on what they want to be able to take going into game 2. Because I think the Ari actually did very well. Beatdown and myself were discussing a little bit between the break of different changes we'd like to see. And my big one that I was just saying right before we had to make sure we were getting all ready was instead of the Varus pick, I actually kind of would have liked the Lucian. We're on 11-17. The changes came into him. He works really well with champions like Jarvan that buff him up and give him that vigilance passive. So maybe that's something we could look to see if we see change into game 2.
And I think Saskia brought up a pretty good point on the desk as well. Like, if you're going to put Iso on the tank, pick it on 4. Get yourself the most prime matchup you can guarantee yourself in the mid lane as well, if you wanted to go a different route for Ivano. But it depends on what they're looking for in this game too. Maybe they will put Iso more on this bruiser carry style. Maybe they're going to do it the same, give him the same kind of champion, but maybe switch up the order a little bit.
Yeah, that could be it. We'll see when we get into Champions Select exactly how things are going to change. Because when I look at things and how the game's really spelled out in this one, for the side of Wildcard, they were able to play around pretty well at top side. Now, you were talking about that's why you didn't really like the Mundo, because they had played so well around the top half of the map, yet it didn't amount to anything. The Olaf eventually still was able to come online. I think he ended that game with something like 8 kills in that when he started 0-3.
Yeah, something silly like that. And it did end up working out on top. And realistically, Olaf has more of a use later on than Mundo did in the context of that draft. So we saw that come through despite an unfortunate laning phase that, it just didn't go very well. So now I'm looking towards here in game 2 to see what the wild cardlings are going to do to try and kind of bounce back here. Because the interesting thing too that we kept talking about during the actual game was this sense of bleeding out coming out from wildcard. For a long time, the gold was very even and not a whole lot happened in that department. But Maryville, very slowly, very concisely playing the map, loading up on these neutral objectives for the most part, and that's what ended up leading to their eventual soul, that eventual fight back around the Baron that got them such a big lead. So it's not just that the wildcard leagues do need to draft just a little bit better. I think how you actually play it on the map is going to matter too.
I agree. I definitely agree with you on that one. I want to see also them be more disruptive, be more chaotic, really make it so that Maryville can't just set everything up for free. Even as you said, though there wasn't really that disparity in goal between the two teams, there was a disparity in control of the map itself that was completely forfeited by the wildcardlings. They didn't get that control we need to see it here. They have banned Ziggs, but they didn't really keep in mind that, of course, we knew Lee Sin would be taken immediately by Odd Orange, but Rapid changes it up as well and goes on to Xin Zhao that completely made it through the last draft.
Right, again, this is one of those situations you kind of expect it's going to be grabbed immediately. A lot of priority there for on Orange.
Hey.
As a result, you get yourself the Xin Zhao, you get yourself the Ashe, which is definitely a nicer look in this game. Honestly, you can lane really well safely on her own, so Cleve can roam around like we saw last game. And there's just a lot of good options available. It's a lot harder to pick into the Ashe because most matchups are just neutralized at best.
But here,
except for Jhin is what I was thinking
I
about.
was just about to say, I'm like, you have Rise locked in from Spyrex, but the Jhin, actually going for Ezreal. To me, it's more of, you don't exactly forfeit lane, but you're not really playing to do much in the lane phase because you know Ashe is going to be able to push you in. But the Jhin was something that I was about to mention and then it didn't actually get picked up here. with Rise for Spyrex, one of his favorite champions that we've been seeing him really dominate throughout the regular season. And even when you look at how he's played it in the playoffs, sure, he doesn't really rack up the KDA, but he racks up control. And what else can control push in the mid wave? That's Ivano on Aurelion Soul. He's played this a couple times in the regular split, and I was curious to see. He busted out Ari, and he's back onto now Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the picks Ivano is coming out with this series, and this one is interesting too because of the ability. We keep talking about how important it is to get your mid laner out of lane early on and try to have them affect other lanes. Well, I don't think there's a mid laner that does it quite like Aurelion Soul does. No teleport necessary. He's just gonna fly in, and well, you've all seen it. We've all seen what Ivano can do. We've all seen what APA can do, and it is a very interesting pick here because in this we don't see it happen very often, but I think it fits what the wildcardlings rather are looking to do here.
And by the way, if you're all wondering why we're saying wildcardlings, we were asked specifically to do this by the staff of Wildcard. Shout out to Dylan to give him that little love over there. As in the second part of the bands, Olaf and Jace, two champions. Normally, you talk about Olaf and I'd be like, oh, it's banned towards Odd Orange. After last game, having seen it a couple times too throughout the UPL make his way into the top lane, it is purely for chippies, doubling up on the bans. But Maryville did the same thing themselves, doubling up on the bans towards Izo in the top lane, which leaves open some picks for the bot lane. Getting at that Braum, which works pretty well with an Ashe. I'm curious to see, whoa, the Gwen being brought back from Oblivion.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. You got a lot of scaling on Maryville's side when you look at some of these champions picked up here. And it's looking like if that Bard is locked in, it will be the Lee Sin jungler, if it was support. Either way, I mean, Ezreal Bard was pretty popular, I think, towards the end of last season as well.
Hey,
it wouldn't be that surprising. There it is. Shady, another champ he can roam a lot on. And Ezreal, the kind of AD carry where you can just leave him to his own devices and kind of figure his own stuff out. And it's interesting too that Tempered Fate can be a really big tool to prevent your turret from being damaged by Rift Herald, picking people off in these fights. There's a lot to like about this pick.
Well, the Kench has been unbenched here by Izo for the top lane. An interesting pick to round it all out, knowing that it's going to be up against that Gwen, but I kind of want to focus on the bot lane. Ezreal Bard, a lot of poke that you get. Normally you talk about like a ranged support, how it really can bully around any melee style that you want to be able to bring, but it isn't a Braum. Someone who can easily body block a lot of the damage that would be front loaded by both an Ezreal and Bard.
Right, and I think part of the reason we see the Braum is you don't want to give away the Ezreal Braum lane. Also, Ashe Braum, very oppressive. If you ever played against it, I'm sorry. It's just...
I've played it before.
You know what? I won't lie. I've played it too, and I would be lying if I said it didn't feel good because like
always does.
They can't move, bro. It's not balanced. But the thing I like too is in the same situation here, both these bot lanes are kind of set to have your AD carry kind of farm on their own. That ADC 1v1. ADC is really becoming a solo lane these days, it seems like, as the support can move around the map. But also, I like it overall because you have this Ashe for that Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Like, we've seen it at all levels of play as she's risen back up in popularity, how important that ability is. And when AD carries are good at landing it from long distances, what is it? Max range, like a 3.5 second stun. That's plenty of time for you to walk up closer from your safe pocket of darkness just to be like, oh, hey, you're stunned? Wouldn't it be so sad if you were stunned again? Again? Well,
and then again and again and again.
And now you're dead!
Well, and the thing, too, is there's a lot of layering CC options on the side of Wildcard. Abyssal Voyage from Tom Kench. You can get Xin Zhao to jump into the backline. The gigantic stars of Aurelion Soul all the while, too. And I look at this Wildcard developmental roster, the Wildcardlings, and this draft, to me, actually has a lot more that... This is pretty much what we were asking for, what we wanted to see. They have more options for the mid, for the late game, where we don't feel like they're just going to fall off and eventually just crumble apart. Even though Maryville still also have those same options like they did in the first game, there's more that Wildcard can do to counteract that.
And I think that's the most really important thing here. Now they don't find themselves kind of out to sea without a life jacket or anything of the sort, no assistance, or a paddle, or a boat. You know, there's quite a handful of things.
Okay, if you're lost at sea, you at least want a boat, because otherwise you're not making it. Have you seen the ocean? It's pretty big.
That's true.
It's like bigger than at least like Los Angeles, at least.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe. That's a pretty safe bet. Yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't matter how big the ocean is, because right now we are getting our Galaxy Brain and Aurelion Soul by the Wildcard Lings for game number 2, where Maryville, they might have struck first in game 1, but Wildcard Developmental, they can make this a series. They can tie it up at 1 apiece in this best-of-5 grand finals.
Oh, and it might all start here. You have a bit of a poking coming through, but all 5 members of the Wild Cardlings are here. Oh, magical.
The wrong way,
no
too.
flash.
Hop, skip, jump over the wall the wrong way, but nobody has flashed themselves to try to keep up with Chippy, so Chippies will be able to dash right over the wall and escape.
And so he was good. Try and punish the Gwen who doesn't have flash. See if you can get some summoner spells out of somebody, but unfortunately it doesn't really work out. Either way, though, they're not afraid to try these things out, and I'm still curious to see how this mid lane matchup's going to go. Will Ivano be able to get the shove and roams that he's going to be looking for? Of course, he has taken the Ignite. The teleport won't be as needed with the insane mobility that Aurelion Soul can offer. So I also wanted to say, too, I like the Tahm Kench topside because very much like before, Iso is probably going to be playing on the weak side like we expected. Not the most amount of jungle attention. Tahm Kench currently is a fantastic champ to do that one with. And he's going to offer so much follow-up like you mentioned earlier with that Abyssal Dive magical.
But here, looking to see how things play out in a mid lane. Kind of getting a little bit of control, and nicely done from Ivano. Just chip damage off of Spyrex, but not going to be too much. What I'm imagining, since I haven't obviously seen too much Aurelion Soul versus Ryze, not because of the lack of Ryze, but the lack of a dragon from space. I'm imagining that he pushes in, he's going to be able to out-shove Ryze early on for the first few levels, since Ryze does want to be at least level 4 before he just shoves in and nobody can keep up with him. And from there, Ivano, during that little bit of a window, the respite that he'll have, is going to move around the map and try to impact either the top or the bot side lanes.
Honestly, because of the follow-up potential, I would like to see it in the top lane. And we're already seeing him move, try and get some vision. Maybe you see a level 2 gank that we're seeing a lot of junglers go through these days, although it doesn't look like that's what Auto Orange is actually going for. This doesn't hurt to be a little careful here, as things are just going to start off really slow. You actually have a lot of members of Wildcard using their Prio to push for some deep vision, but Ivano,
there's the Rune Prison, there's the follow-up Sonic Wave as well. One last auto for Spyrex to take first blood.
Yeah, there it is. Unfortunately, he warded in the wrong place. Didn't realize Auto Orange was coming from the other side. Flashing and dying is super unfortunate as well, but luckily, he'll be able to come back to lane relatively quickly, but means he won't be leaving anytime soon.
No, and I gotta say, I love that patience out of Odd Orange to wait for the flash before following up with his Q. It meant, it's an easy executed dive right there, or a gank. You just go, okay, he's got to flash. If he doesn't flash, Spyrex just outright kills him. And so the patience there, getting that kill, and even gifting it over to Spyrex is setting them up to completely mitigate the reason why Wildcard Developmental had drafted that Aurelion Soul in the first place, but bot lane Rapid at least wants to be able to answer something back for the team. The flash away with the heal too from Shady to stay alive and back towards the turret.
Yep, so you are at least able to get some summoners out here. Unfortunately, not a kill. And wow! A lot of damage taken on the out.
Okay, the dash away. Still the flash up from Azog underneath the turret. The flash now used to be able to escape from Ivano. And there's that first gank we expected from our Celestial Dragon.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Q didn't look like it quite worked out the way he wanted it to. So with all this attention, not much to show for it other than a flash.
No.
Yeah.
So he already knows. The flash is up and available. Thick skin used to be able to survive. Wow, you know what? I keep having to eat my words this series. I can't believe that he didn't even have the flash there.
I think the story goes because he he's not low enough for execute, and he has full passive stacks. If he takes turret aggro and Iso lands the tongue lash, that's a solo kill.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you got a point. I'm just more surprised that it was at least that Iso had the patience himself to hold on to that flash the entire time, saying, "All right, I dare you to follow up on this."
Yeah. Yeah, it's certainly a good feeling. And Rapid is also going to make yet another appearance here.
Spotted
Thing
out by
is,
the
yeah,
board, though.
yep, they know.
Yeah, there it is. He's going to realize that, too. Back out of here. Say, all right, not much that we can do in this anymore. But he's still hanging around the bot lane. Flash is gone. All summoners from this bottom half of the map of Maryville have been lost to the times earlier on the gank that him and Ivano had gotten. But unfortunately, it's still an Ezreal. And even if you're able to get the summoners off him, he has that safety layer that he can just E out and be alive at all times.
And speaking of, Odd Orange is in the vicinity on the bottom side looking for a potential lane gank. Oh, they actually had a deep ward though, so he is spotted. So Crazy Goose and Cleave should be in a good spot. That's some good foresight. With Rapid being in the area, we could still see a 3v3 come out here, and that could go pretty well for the Wildcardlings, depending on whether or not they actually want to go for it. I mean, Crazy Goose, he went for the longsword start. Azog only has the tier, so this is a fight I think you're okay taking.
Yeah, and you could even see that Crazy Goose, Cleave, not really stepping too far forward to be able to beat anything else, but they also didn't really have to worry. They were fine just farming it up here. Rapid paths right through the mid lane, comes up, says hi to Spyrex, and you're like, all right, I just want to eat some chicken anyways. I'm just going to get some takeout. Not really worried about that because I can't really help Ivano, and he has no mana. Even though Spyrex doesn't have any himself, he's shoved underneath the turret, which is going to allow Spyrex to move first.
Yeah, plus he still has the corrupting potion, so he can actually hang back and shove the next one. It looks like, especially with Odd Orange hovering, going for the invade. Well, he's actually gonna, yeah, I think he's just gonna force Ivano to back up even further, maybe. But oh, look who's here!
Rapid even has Iso right there on the side if they needed to, but Chippy's being able to answer too makes it so they have to concede that red buff over to Odd Orange and Chippy's.
Rapid is walking up. I don't think they realize what's going on, Magical. We might have a 40 fight.
They're at least going to be able to get a little bit of trade damage into the backline. Shady shows up, but gobbled up onto Chippy's, spit out and away, but he's over the wall, flashed by Iso, but he could not pick up the kill. The Living Doll lives once more.
Wow, insane healing coming from the 1,000 Cuts passive, and Maryville managed to come out on top of that skirmish as well, picking up a 1 for nothing. Dragon is still on the table if they want to try and go for it, but there's a better chance they might just focus on keep pressuring Ivano and move up to secure the Rift Herald that's spawning in less than a minute.
This is all looking pretty good for Maryville early into this game, and honestly, it also shows why we don't ever see Odd Orange many times get his Lee Sin. How much pressure and control he's gotten over Rapid so far. Granted, the rest of the team has also been able to put down that vision like they did in Game 1, always making it so they know where Rapid is. They can always read these plays a mile in advance, but still, it takes Odd Orange and his leadership to be able to utilize that vision time and time again.
Yeah, and that's why you see Maryville play so cleanly. It's just as true in Game 2 as it is in Game 1. And Wildcardlings already are finding themselves in a bit of a tough situation. The thing that's working out well for them, though, is that even though they lose out on some of these bot lane trades, look at Crazy Goose. He's up 15 CS. Obviously, it's going to be a little less because of that wave, but that's still a decent lead he's building for himself here. And now that he is level 6, just Crystal Arrow is out and ready to play. We could still see Wildcard try to make plays, especially because Dragon is on the table, and they're starting to set up some vision around it.
But these lanes at least are going the way we'd expect at this point. Ashe always going to be able to push out. The Shady has to use that magical journey. Dodges away from the Winter's Bite. Crazy Goose taking a lot of damage with a heal and Ignite taking on his head. Oh, true shot. Mirage takes him down. And unfortunately, it is still going to be the kill on the other side. Raptor was able to get his kill in Retribution, but he will be followed up into the grave. Shady makes sure that he will join his bot lane.
And you end up going 1 for 2, which is really unfortunate on Wildcard side. You don't get to secure yourself the Dragon. This is an easy pickup for Maryville, who are going to very likely after this walk up to topside if they want to go for the Herald too. Odd Orange still has camps up there. There's plenty of reasons to be on that side of the map, but we're seeing this neutral control overall continue to favor Maryville University.
Maryville, I mean, this is kind of what we've seen. It's clean League of Legends play. getting control early on and always being able to translate that into whatever lane is struggling. And I can't really see a lane that was struggling more than the bot lane until this very moment. Getting the kill on to Azog as well. Sure, he's behind a little bit in CS, but this Ezreal going to be able to get to that point very soon where he is going to be just as important as the rest of the members on Maryville's side.
Now we have a bit of an invade here. Wow, we just have a
Do
fight.
you want to do this wildcard link?
I don't
It's a
think
little
so.
early. Iso took so much
Unless-
damage on the initial, though on Orange barely able to survive. That's going to be the needlework. Double kill. Make it 3. Down and dusted. Crazy Goose, Ivano, both of them are here. The Voice of Light knocks him into the wall, but even with the damage coming in from the Celestial Expanse, finally Spyrex is going to fall. Took a long time for the stars to be able to burn him away. Shady taking a little bit from the Celestial Expanse himself, but he's got the stun. That's going to be the center of the universe that cannot touch onto Shady into the back line.
Well, it looks like Crazy Goose. No, he isn't going to look for any more. But still, even though you catch one on the exit, Maryville continuing to come out on top of these trades. That's 3 for 1 we saw there, Magical. And now you also have Azog on the bot side continuously pushing these waves. And we're going to see this replay come through here. I think the most frustrating thing, just take a look at Odd Orange. You see Iso buying a lot of time, which is all well and good. And the combo, it seems to come through from the wild card links. But Odd Orange manages to walk away, and you walk right into the waiting scissors of Chippies, who already is going to scale incredibly into the late game. 2 kills. Well, why don't we just speed that up, Magical? Why not?
And to me, the big thing there for the wildcard links is it was a fight they could not win. They thought maybe Ivano was going to be there in time, and now Crazy Goose, he's got the Temper Fade on top of him. Damage too. Here's Odd Orange. They couldn't get the stun, so they have to flash away. Iso, scary enough. Abyssal Voyage knockup on to Shady. But Shady still alive, still kiting back, and this looks familiar. Iso could not chase it down yet again, so Azog was able to get himself his second kill of the game. Magical Journey, are they going to look for the dive on to Cleve at the moment, even though he's at 50% the follow-up Sonic Wave? Yes, they are, but he's stunned by the concussive blow, so Crazy Goose and Cleve will be able to escape.
Yeah, and part of it is you're just denying the wave that's going into the tower now. Crazy Goose and Cleve not having a good time at the moment. And all wild cardlings are going to have to show for it is this Rift Herald that they are now collecting, but they're losing plates, minions, lives all across Summoner's Rift at the moment here. As Chippies is also just happily chipping away at these plates on the top side of the map. And now Wildcard are down almost 5,000 gold as a result of all of these plays almost going their way.
This is not at all like how it was last game, where these plays might have happened, but the gold remained even between the two. Here it is favoring massively Maryville as Chippies 1v2, make it 1v3. Now the Rapid's been able to show up. The Needlework only did a little bit of damage, not having very much mana, and getting knocked back by the Crescent Strike for shutdown for Iso.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Chippies, or Gwen rather, isn't that hyper scary of a champion, at least not before her first item. So they will be able to get a nice chunk of gold into Iso's pocket. And there's still the Rift Herald to speak of here. Whether or not they want to drop the top, maybe mid lane, get some plates into Ivano's pocket because things haven't been going so great for him, is going to be up to them. Those are 2 viable options they have for himself. But I see the pings. I see the little faces on the mini-map. Rapid is moving topside.
I think Ivano would be the target I'd want.
Yeah.
Make sure you can take away any power Spyrex could possibly lord over your mid lane. But they pop it top, giving gold over to Tom Kench, who's pretty far behind now that a Rift Maker's been completed on the other side. The deny, though, from Shady. Right place, right time. Rapid, unfortunately, finding a rapid death as Iso, the next target, the kick away from the turret. Salvation ripped apart, ripped away from the waiting hands of the Catfish. He's been noodled, and now he will be neutered as they get one more kill for Spyrex.
Man, even though that took a while, Maryville will confirm that kill. And this is what we were talking about. That Tempered Fate means that Wildcard got almost 0 value from that Rift Herald. It didn't give them any turret gold. It didn't even threaten taking the turret down. And again, Maryville just keep taking so much. But unlike last game, now they're just taking so much so early for nothing. Wildcard links don't have any way to answer. They're down 7,000 gold. Barely anybody that they can even play towards here. It's tough.
It's very tough. Even bot lane, Crazy Goose and Cleave have been pushing down that turret, trying to see if they can at least make it a 1-for-1 trade in turrets, but it was a full health tier 1 turret. They couldn't do it quickly enough. They don't have the gold, they don't have the items necessary to be able to take that. And now they lose the dragon they started, even though they do get the kill shut down onto Odd Orange. It is a loss in any possibility to get back momentum.
Yep, and just like last game, even though Wildcard, probably the ones who want to be playing for this Dragon Soul, they find themselves down 2 dragons at 15 minutes, and even though Izo...
Oh no, Chippy's just baiting out Izo there, flashed away too, but with an Ignite ticking, Ivano on the other side, Realm Warp away, the escape couldn't get there, the Voice of Light singing out the praises, singing out Ivano's name, but Chippy's still alive, Celestial Expanse, one more star will take down a 1-for-1 trade, both top laners fall.
Oh, Chippy's unfortunately left out to dry, couldn't take the Realm Warp away, but overall, it's not a big deal. In Maryville's case, they still get so much here. Izo is 1 in 5 at the moment. He's barely been able to play as he's down an unspeakable amount of CS as well. It's an unfortunate situation. Now Ivano
Can't move! He
Nope.
can't even move. He finally is able to flash away. Temper Fate, but they're not going to follow that one up. Spyrex, the damage, the lockdown potential with that Everfrost. It's so much. And even though you have Rapid and Cleave both in the vicinity, the sun came through. And here's a
Teleport.
TP. Chippies knows that he is needed and he is wanted here in that fight. Cleave will be cleaved. Rapid the next to fall as well. He will dash towards his minions, but here comes Shady. Magical Journey, not followed up. Not going to get the stun. Instead, they're just going to get the minions to crash into the tier 2.
And it's so tough. You got so many melee champions running into this Rise. This is just a dream scenario for Spirax, and you can see it in all the damage that he is able to do.
Ivano,
Oh, Izo.
Ivano did... Izo, you're right. Ivano's on his way. Izo, you didn't want to go for that one, even though you're able to get the tongue lash onto Shady with a lot of damage. You just can't. Spyrex is 3-1-8 right now, even if he's only got an Everfrost. It's Rise. Rise does a lot of damage. Crazy Goose chasing back Odd Orange. But everyone on the side of Wildcard are so far behind every one of their opposing members.
Yeah, and this is what makes it so hard for them to find themselves back on the game, back in the game. The Wildcardlings, they have to overload into a lane in hopes that they can pick up some shutdowns, make a play happen. But because of how good Maryville are at extending these engagements, you saw the result. Now someone has to answer this bot wave. Now you lost your mid-tier 1 turret, and the wave gets shoved even further. And as a result, Wildcard, again, they just keep losing everything and can't find anything in return. And man, this gold lead, this is tough.
It's not looking good, and now Izo trying to clear out a control ward, but look who's showing up. It's the Goon Squad. Shady, Spyrex, locked down. No retreat for the Tom Kench. Killing spree is secured for that Rune Mage as the rest of the members of the Wildcardlings completely book it back mid.
And it's tough. Maryville, complete control here. Now Wildcard to continuously have to group up, but oh no.
I'm not even going to bother with this one.
Yeah.
It's just tragic. It is tragedy on the side. A little bit of a miscommunication on the side of Maryville there with both ults used from the bot lane. But right now, beatdown, we're at more than a kill a minute. It's 19 kills total in this game, and we're only 18.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it's true. It's definitely been a lot scrappier than game 1, and Maryville definitely not afraid to fight at any given opportunity here in game 2. Also, you can just see it in their scoreline. They have 14 of these 19 kills. This 2-item Ezreal means those Mystic shots.
He don't miss!
Look at that! He can't miss!
Jesus, Azog just... Every one of those Mystic shots landing so much damage. Rapid and Crazy Goose, before they had even gotten near him, had both been taken below 50%.
Yeah, and just the ability to 1v2, which Azog currently has under his belt, is this 2-item Ezreal. Insane lead he has as well. Man, like, this is what Maryville can afford to do. Now you can just threaten all of these lanes so very easily. And Wildcard, they have to make a choice. Okay, who are we going to pressure? Who are we going to try to punish? And recognize that, okay, what are we going to lose while we're doing that? Will we even succeed?
I have a bad feeling about that one. Because
Yeah?
when we look at this game here, Nathan, This Maryville's composition is incredibly risky. There is no real tanky member on their side. But if they're ahead, they can blow up members like on the other side. Though they've lost Shady, and now, wait a minute, on Orange,
On Orange?
jump back in. And needlework damage by Chippy's on the other side with all 5 members here.
Spirax is here.
A lot of damage. They've already got the kill on the other side. And 1v3. Chippy finds himself a double kill while the rest of the team chases down to take down the dragon, the Celestial Lord. He has been conquered and the conquest is there. The Wildcard Lynx have only 1 member left and he cannot stop this Baron.
Yeah, and Spirax is going to take them into the pit here, Magical. And this is, man, 20-minute Baron, and look at the damage Maryville are putting onto it here. All of these waves are shoving in. Wildcard are just bleeding all over the map, and so much more profusely than in the previous game here in the series. Now, there's such little room for them to find their way back into the game here. At this point, you gotta imagine they're talking about game 3.
Oh yeah, it's when you get to this point, it is game 3, and this is where I was talking right before that fight. Every member on the side, even Shady, we saw him get blown up at the beginning of that fight, but even Shady is a threat to the existence of the Wildcard Lynx. They all are so far ahead. The damage they can provide makes it so they can easily win any of these exchanges right there. Izo, he thought he could start a fight onto Shady. He's like, I'm a tank, I'll be fine. But no, you can't. They kite you back. They blow you up. They kill you all. The flash over the wall. And Avano, trying to survive, had to flash himself just to be able to get out of there. They got the kill onto Shady yet again, but they're losing all the other members before the Wildcard Lynx with another kill. Killing spree for Chippy. Look at Crazy Goose. He's taken down with a kick by a catfish into the face. As Izo, he is now the sole surviving member, flashed in on Spirax, but he will soon be cut down. He will be made into mincemeat. The ace comes through from Maryville.
And you know what? I think Maryville were upset that their game took longer than average in game 1, because now they are speed running Baron buff in tow, Magical.
We're looking at
we're gonna Dancing Shelly.
Well, Rapid. Can you stop it? Shelly's gonna get the charge. No, it is not gonna happen. Rapid Avano Cleave. They've all respawned, but Dancing Shelly will sing and dance the celebratory dance of Maryville's 2-0 lead here in the grand finals.
And celebrate they must, because, man, that second game was incredibly dominating from Maryville. It felt like there were very few ways for them to for Wildcard Lynx to actually find their way back into it here. The fact is, it all starts with Odd Orange ganking level 3, and as soon as that kill comes through, and you're already seeing Avano feel this pressure in the mid lane, it's so much harder for him to have that effect that we were hoping for when we saw the Aurelion Soul locked in, that ability to roam to other lanes and try to get kills. And the few openings that he did have were fruitless because of how safe a lane Ezreal and Bard can be. Ezreal can E away, you have the slows, the magical journeys. There's so many escapes, Magical.
Exactly, and pretty much escaped any danger in the bot lane, where then they turned it all around and won every one of their lanes for a 22-minute victory in Game 2. Maryville are now one step away from retaining themselves that championship of UPL. We're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, Ravish and the rest of the desk will break down the game a little bit further, so make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
with their backs against the wall, Wildcard now have to ask the question, can they do it all? Can they bring it back from the brink to soar what they once did? Welcome back to the best yet again, ladies and gentlemen. Ravishing here by Manny and my main man Saskio. It's been a tough going for them for as of right now. I'm a little bit worried about them, but I know that they got what it takes to possibly come back on the other end with a side of Maryville domination. Doesn't even begin to describe what we saw in this game number 2, bro. It was a beautiful sight to see. And before we get to any more points, though, Saskio, I'll start off with you again, man. Let's start off by breaking down this game.
Yeah, so starting off with the early game, starting off with the jungle, I liked how Lee Sin adapted really well, since both junglers were desync jungling, where Xin Zhao was going towards bot side, but Lee Sin was going towards top side. And Lee Sin saw an opportunity because Aurelion Sol misplayed the wave, and he saw an opportunity to gank mid and re-enters top side. Since Xin Zhao is now entering bot side, he can't punish and take Lee Sin's top side camp. So really good adaptation from the Auto Orange to see that mid laner is making a mistake and really taking advantage of that and push Maryville to a victory here.
And there's a statement that we got from Auto Orange himself just earlier today while talking to him. He said that if teams cared about winning, they shouldn't give him Lee Sin. And I find that statement has proven true over and over again. Like, he's way too practiced of a jungler on this pick. Like, this man's absolutely nuts. And I swear, if you look at stats, even in this UPL season, every time he's gotten Lee Sin, I don't think he's lost, which I think speaks high regards and high volumes. But Manny, as we go throughout the game, though, it just went from what was okay to very steeply downhill for Wildcard.
Yeah, I think the term I used while we were watching this was bad to worse when we were seeing it live, and it really
I'm trying
only
not to say it.
like after this, there was already a disastrous bot TP play here before this from Wildcard, and it really just only got worse after this. This invade kind of turned out disastrously. Everyone kind of gets wiped here, and at this point, the writing's kind of on the wall. Like, it's basically at that point, it's Maryville's game to lose.
And that kind of just continues throughout this entire game, right? You saw how Maryville took hold of every sort of engage that Wildcard wanted to do. They were first to the objective, they were first to the gank, and they're first to the play every single time. Like, it was gross, honestly, within the way how they were able to take over the game. And real quick, Izo, bro, I hope you're doing okay. I hope you're able to get some water. Like, it's just like the way this man got absolutely bullied the entire time. He even mentioned how he wanted revenge for Seedlaw for them bullying him, and it just keeps happening. You must have what I honestly aptly describe as an ironclad mental. So let me, fam, like, let me reach out to you, Jay, if you're listening. Send this to Izo, bro. I hope you're okay. I hope you're able to shake it off. Remember, you're better than this. Like, you just word up, homie, and you go along your way. Don't worry about nothing. The score is only fleeting. What matters is your commitment to the game. Do you respect? But Maddie, Saskia, let me just ask you real quick, bro. Saskia first on this. Like, if you were to give like some really one sentence advice over the Wildcard for how they can keep this into the game for this game number 3 and possible final game of the night, what would you say to them?
I'll just say, shake it up, switch it over to blue side, pick coin flip champions, and just go hard. That's all I gotta say.
Manny, what you got for me?
I mean, I think Auto Orange said it himself, right? So I'm gonna say for Wildcard, they got to ban Lee Sin.
Yeah, bro. Ban Lee Sin, shake it off, as Taylor Swift said, and move on forward. I'm sure we can do all that and more. Bad Magical beat yet again on deck to take us through, like we said, possibly the final game of the night, the final game for many Wildcard players, and the final game for us as well. So y'all go ahead, take it away. Let me know, what do you tell the Wildcard boys before this game number 3?
Whoa, Ravish. This is not the final game just yet. We have to finish this game before we know whether it's going to be the final one. And you asked me what I want to see from Wildcard Developmental. The Wildcardlings going in to Game 3 and start off that reverse sweep hype. Well, maybe it's, as Saskia was saying, maybe not play that early game where you get punished really early on by Auto Orange, or maybe it's like Manny said, ban Lee Sin.
Yeah, I think a lot of those makes sense, Magical. I think the thing that's interesting too is maybe you just go for a stronger, one of the more classic mid jungle duos. I see them kind of go for one. They usually either have the Jarvan or the Xin Zhao, but maybe now look for the Rise yourself. Get yourself either the Rise like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, just really strong. One of the more pick champs we see lately, and hope that you can win out in some of these early skirmishes, because so far in games 1 and 2, that's not going your way at all. Some moments you came close, but we're still not able to get over the top there, and that's how Maryville start to get some of those early leads that they end up snowballing, as we saw, especially in game 2. So like Saskio said, you're on blue side, and you can pick strong champs, maybe coin flip champs, and just full send.
Yeah, but they banned Lee Sin. They have listened. Odd Orange claimed it himself. You don't let him have it, and they're not going to in Game 3, a deciding match. Maryville want to continue the trend of UPL Finals 3-0, where we tend to have one team absolutely dominate, but yeah, you know, you could always buck the trend if you're the wild card lanes. You could always stop that here in its tracks since they swapped sides. They haven't really swapped too many of the bans up. They banned Aurelia, they banned Lee Sin in Game 1, but Rise is going to be banned pretty early on this time around.
Yeah, either it's likely due to the last game's performance. Spirax had a great game on the champ. Maybe they want to give Ivano LeBlanc this time around and Rise. It's not fun. So with Aurelia taken out too, I think it's not a bad look if you want to go and blind that early on, because Maryville also, Maryville banned Galio, so a lot of her matchups that are unlucky are mostly taken off the board here, so it makes a lot of sense here. And now we just need that jungler to come through, something like Xin Zhao, something like Viego, heavy early skirmishing, and okay. I don't like Malzahar, I'm sorry.
Okay. I was waiting
what were you
to
thinking?
see if I was like, I wanted to see if we were gonna get baited. I wanted to see if it was gonna happen.
True.
Twisted Fate getting picked up here for Spark. I actually kind of expected it to be Syndra. That's something we have really seen actually consistently. Whenever LeBlanc is picked on the other side, you either get Rise, which is banned away, or the Syndra. But taking Twisted Fate, something that wants to move around the map and kind of beat Ivano to the punch when he hits level 6, especially since they have Auto Orange on to the Xin Zhao, and setting him up even more for success is going to be great. But the Lovers duo from Wildcard Links.
So again, you have some of this early game pressure as long as you secure yourself a jungler. The thing that's interesting, actually, even though I think the combo is fine, it's a little tough to pick blind, and now that you've gone that route, I wouldn't be surprised if Maryville used their remaining bans to just try and pinch Rapid Spool, take things away like the Jarvan, like the Viego, two pretty good options that he would likely go for in this last phase.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting as well. Maybe even take away Trundle, Olaf, a couple of the other champions that are able to keep up with him and also punish him early on into the game. Olaf right there is being hovered, and I expect that to get locked in as a ban from Maryville. It's one of those champions that does well in Xin Zhao, and you always want to make sure you're setting him up for the most success possible.
Right, and yet, like we're saying, we're going to see these jungle bans come through. Something early and aggressive needs to come out for Wildcard, because LeBlanc is that kind of champion where she needs some love in the early game. She needs attention, she wants kills, she wants goals, she wants all of those things so that she can start to snowball. And if you can get LeBlanc moving around the map pre-6, you can ideally get there before the Destiny comes through from Spirax, because once that comes through, like you said, Magical, he's going to be looking all over the map to try and have an impact. If you don't have a lead, much like in games 1 and 2, you're just going to fall behind.
There's that Jarvan band you were talking about, Beatdown. Not going to allow Rapid to be able to take that into this match. Now I'm curious to see what Rapid does opt to. Zac is something that he's played a couple times. Trundle is the one I was thinking of and that we tend to see pretty consistently. Viego is left open, but it's clear that neither of these junglers have been really putting that priority onto him anymore. So with this pickup, I'm expecting it to be the support coming in from Shady, and then see what you're going to be able to get into the top side for Chippies to round up your comp.
Yeah, right. Being on red side, Maryville, of course, they're going to give a lot of Choice, a lot of chance to counter for chippies, and now I'm curious. Yeah, it's probably going to be. Actually, I'm not even going to guess what Shady's going to lock in. Something that can roam, something that can affect other lanes. What Maryville likes to do. Nautilus makes a lot of sense. This is a support matchup we saw in game 1, and now I'm curious to see how Wildcard are going to round out this draft. The Volley Bear is interesting. So I wanted early aggression, and I mean, this is exactly that. The thing that's a little tough with Volley Bear, though, is that you have to come through in this early game or he does start to fall behind.
And this is something, though, that we have to keep in mind that has been banned away from Wildcard lanes in both games 1 and 2. They haven't let the bear make his way onto the Rift either in those games, and so now they have it. I'm expecting it to be for Iso with Viego to finish off the comp for Rapid.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So either one of these could go into the top lane, and either, depending on what Iso and Rapid are actually comfortable with, it could be a decision they make when they see that final pick, or maybe it is just decided from the jump. Either way, what's Chippy's going to be piloting? Things like the Gnar, the Camille are not available to him, but the Jace would be a good lock-in. It pairs really well with the poke you see coming in from the Varus, and there it is. This is pretty nice because you have a lot of this zone control because of the poke damage you're going to be able to offer later on, and it makes it hard for Wildcard to approach you.
And honestly, this is showing it right now. Maryville are here for dominance. They are here to win this flat out. They want a clean sweep to continue the trend of UPL Grand Finals. While the Wildcardlings, they didn't fully invest into the coin flip themselves, but like in Game 2, they do have those elements for mid to late game scaling, so long as they don't fall behind too much. But I'm looking towards Iso on that Volibear into the top lane. You kind of talked about it. The fact that he does fall off a little bit into the later stages of the game. But looking at games 1 and 2, we've seen that he's gone for the tank route. So I'm expecting that he is there to set up Rapid to be the one to win it out. He's not really there to be the bully to win everything and snowball himself to victory.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about that earlier too. How it's easier to set up ganks with that Volley Bear. You mean point and click stun, Q, auto. Like it's just that simple. And it'd be really easy for Rapid to come in as the Viego if that's what he's going to be piloting here. But I think either way, you still give yourself some pretty good options. And I think either way, without jungle attention, Jace Chippies is going to be shoving you in and for the most part having control. So I think the early top jungle 2v2 is going to be a big deal. And I think that's why the mid lane matchup matters, especially in this particular game, because whoever is going to be able to shove and roam and help that top side is going to be the one to come out on top. That's why we see the Twisted Fate come through. You can help play to the side lane. You can help accelerate Chippies so he can be that late game monster that Jace can get when he has a lead.
And that's going to be difficult. We've seen that Chippies, even when put behind, has been able to claw his way back and completely take over the game. Game 1 on that Olaf, starting off 0-3, only to end the game something like 8-4. That is impressive to see. And now he's given even more tools for that success, so they can set up around sieges, around 1-3-1s, and push back Wildcard Developmental all the way back into the very pits of their own base. And it being the game where their backs are up against that corner, up against the wall, they have to lash out like a caged animal if they want to be able to win. The coin flip that I believe Manny was talking about on the desk, they have to do something. Otherwise, the game's just going to end and you're going to have nothing you've done.
Right, and because of some of the picks we saw, there are a handful of early game options available to them here. So it is going to be Iso piloting the Volibear in the top lane. And I mean, this is fine. The gank setup again is there, like we talked about.
Yes.
A flash Q.
Yes.
And now we're going to see both junglers most likely path bottom to top. One, of course, to support Chippies. Oh my god, we have a 5-5, don't we?
You know how I feel about this. The ultimate coin flip. Game 3, backs against the wall. Iso's the first to show his face, chases down and gets the stun on a Shady, who throws out the dredge line, flashed away with exhaust, but the flash in!
No.
First blood for Chippies, the flash away from Rapid. They can continue to chase it down.
Has
They've got the damage, double kill to start off Chase.
Magical, that's bad. That's really bad if you're Wildcard. Like, not only do you give away 2 kills off this 5v5 level 1, you gave them the Chippies. He's coming back to
three
lane
long swords!
with 3 long swords, Magical. 3 long swords.
You're taking a page out of Rafa's book there. I love it. But this is what I love. The level 1 fights, the shenaniganeries, and the double kill for Chippies. This game feels like it's already over.
It very well could be. The CC available kind of tells me like you don't want this 5v5 if you're the wild card lanes, and now because of it, there it is. A shock blast secures the 2nd kill. Chippies is just he runs top lane now. It's his. I'm amazed if Iso will be able to even farm under tower at this point. You can see he's getting zoned from the wave already.
This is going to be brutal for our wild card lanes here. Maryville University, they've got the 2 kills early on, and bot lane, they've got a lot of damage onto Cleave, as he was the one who tried to engage onto Azog. Crazy Goose will take some damage when he took an anchor to the face. They'll be able to stand their grounds in the bot lane at the moment, but I need to see what the wild cardlings can do from here, and how the hell they're going to get gold onto any of these members to be able to overcome Chippies alone.
Dude, how are you going to overcome the mental boom that almost certainly took place? Like, has Iso gotten any XP since this started?
Nope.
Like, that's the thing. So this top
Maybe
lane is turbo doomed.
Two
Ultra
minions.
mega giga turbo doomed. Like, top lane is over. And now you can see Rapid has to, oh my god, dude, like, look
He
at
had
that.
the chance for 1 minion and he missed it.
Because he's 2 levels down now, Magical. He just can't risk it. He just dies again, and then it's truly over.
All right, here we go. TP in, double TP. Uh-oh. Wild cardlings. Do they realize that so many members now are chasing him down? Spyrex, he can flash over the wall to be able to get the stun. There it is. Flash gold card, stun, Rapid, dead.
Yeah, I mean, you have so much pressure topside. There's no world where Iso will actually force Chippies to lose anything. And even if he does, he's so far ahead, he can afford to just blow the TP, cross map to make this early game play. And already Ivano will use his TP to no avail here. So no early lead so far for this LeBlanc. We highlighted how important that's going to be. It's between him and Rapid in this early game to try and make something happen. You have Crazy Goose who's farming, trying to scale into the later stages of the game. But with this lead, I don't know if we'll get there.
I don't know either. Crazy Goose is drawn back in. Well, no, Cleave is. Crazy Goose trying to get the damage on to Azog on the other side, but it's Shady right inside, right in front of him, making sure there's not going to be the follow-up. A lot of damage already expended on both sides, but it's really just trying to see what you can get out of wildcard links, who you can find, because at this moment, they flipped the coin a couple times already, and it has come up tails each and every time.
Yeah, and Iso, he's just trying to find some XP, man, but he's just simply not allowed.
Nope. I mean, he only got the XP there because Chippy's TP'd bot lane with Spyrex so he can get another kill. That's literally the only reason he even has 14 CS. Look at how he's forced out by Chippies. Rapid is in the area. The bot lane, Cleave, is taken down by Azog. The heal comes out, 2 to survive a flash away, just to make sure that at least 2 aren't going to be killed off.
Yeah, but now Crazy Goose, no summoners at all, is going to have to recall. Actually has to go further back, respecting the Q range to go for the recall. But hold that, Rapid is looking for something.
Spectral Maw, the jump on top of Iso. Nice Sky Splitter. Shut down for Rapid.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty big deal. You end up getting some extra gold in Rapid's pocket, and now Iso can breathe a sigh of relief as he's going to be able to farm just a little bit. More plays like that, Magical. That's what we got to see come through from the wild cardlings. They can't be discouraged by how this early game went. They're just going to have to keep moving on and trying to make plays where they know they are strong. Ivano, this might be one of them, but so far, haven't seen Rapid make the move to the mid lane just yet. Spirax is approaching level 6, so with that Destiny coming through, he's going to be a bit of a problem. Uh-oh.
He should be safe, though. Gold card, not going to be able to touch onto Ivano. You could even see that Spyrex wasn't wanting to. There was no real desire to actually try to fight Ivano just yet because they don't fully have that control. Shady had shown up more as a deterrent for Ivano than anything else. They want to at least have Shady now rotate around with Orange. You can see they're pathing, going down towards the bottom half of the map, and possibly while they're actually not possibly. while they are going towards that bot lane, they're going to take away any vision of Wildcard lanes.
Right, you can see Auto Orange is here too. It looks like it's just Shady, but
Crazy
okay.
Goose. No, Crazy
Yeah.
Goose, he stepped forward. Wait a minute. There's a kill mid lane. Nice kill that came in from the side of the Wildcard lane. Bot lane, 2v3. They got a lot of damage back onto Odd Orange and Shady to not only survive, but push back the attempted assault of Maryville, while top lane, Izo, he's wait, when did you get a level above Chippies? That's going to be the ult flashed away, but he's Big Bear now. He slaps it down with them claws.
Wow, so he ends up, because of the time spent outside of lane and because of the gank where he didn't have TP, Izo somehow got ahead in XP like you saw, and because he had the Stormbreaker ready to go, well, he was able to start to finally assert himself in that top lane. So somehow this bear has found his way back as he's going to collect some turret plates here. This overall is all so big for the wild card links. Now it means Rapid can also... Wow, are they just gonna gank him again?
Wait a minute, looking top.
Oh, this is illegal.
Whoa, what are you doing, Spyrex? That was incredibly illegal.
That's just, yeah, that was like several levels of not okay, and he ends up finding out himself. So we don't have to harp on him too much. But yeah, now you're just giving away these kills. This Viego has a bounty, 3 kills to his name. This is the problem Maryville are going to be worried about here. This is how wild card leagues get themselves back in. There was a 2,000 gold lead earlier, Magical.
Yeah.
Now it's 200.
Yeah, I mean, and I was even going to say, for the side of the wild cardlings, they have scaling on their side.
Sure
this is
do.
a team composition that, so long as they're not far behind, they'll be able to outscale Maryville. They fell behind early, but now they have been gifted all this influx of gold to make it nearly dead even at 8 minutes. And another game here, we're getting a kill a minute, but this time it's more evenly spread between the two squads.
Yep, and Rapid, he's back on the top side of the map. He's spending a lot of time here sacrificing his farm, but it's all about getting Izo.
King into the top lane, and another kill for Rapid.
Dude, Chippies is getting hard camped, and this is what wildcardlings needed to do here. Get themselves back into the game with those kills. Now, Maryville will be able to snag the first dragon, but because now this is actually interesting, they're the ones who do want to be dragon stacking this game. So wildcard don't want to let too many more go in their favor, but you're okay to let this one go for control of topside and this first Rift Herald, because now you can just drop it top.
They've completely shut down Chippies at this point. Well, shut him down in big quits because he's still Chippies. We saw last time when I said this. Last time I said this, he would go on to absolutely annihilate everyone on Olaf. So I don't want to fully jinx that here because here he's 2 and 3, working towards getting himself that mythic, and he'll be. I'm not gonna say he's gonna be fine, but especially not after this, where he dies for a 4th time. But it's still Chippies that we have to fear what might happen later on. But if they continue to do this with all this gold being piled into Rapid into Viego, that's looking pretty good for our wild cardlings, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think you're too upset if you're the wild cardlings or a fan of this roster. They are recovering insanely well from what was nothing short of a travesty in the earlier parts of the game here. Now,
No,
Spirax...
Travesty casted yesterday. He's not a part of this.
You know what?
I had to do it. Anyways, going back into this game. Look at this. Now, finally, Odd Orange is showing up into the top side of the map. He's been spending a lot of time elsewhere. We haven't seen his face in these parts for quite some time, but he doesn't have any control because how much has been seeded to the side of the wild cardlings, how much vision they themselves have gotten there. You can see where all the vision is. It's top side. There's pretty much darkness on the bottom half of the map. Only inside of their own jungle do the wild cardlings have any kind of control. But honestly, at this point, it's perfectly fine for them. They've got a 5 and 2 Viego with the Eye of the Rift Herald that you can utilize somewhere else, and their bot lane is doing well, even if a little bit behind in CS. You're fine because eventually the crit's going to be pretty big. But now Ivano as he stepped forward, he's just going to have to flash away to try to survive, but they can easily follow that up and get a kill for Spyrex.
Look top side.
Here's Rapid yet again. Chippy's got himself a shield from the Eclipse, knocked back Rapid, but we know how this goes. Flashed away, delaying the inevitable, delaying his own death. Spectrum connects the jump back in from To the Skies.
Wait, does he
but
live?
To the Skies goes. Chippy's one more. Will they dive this one? They don't have the
Oh,
ult.
I know.
ISO, don't
This is
dive
illegal.
brother. No! A 1-for-1 trade. Chippy turns it around, and look who shows
who's
up.
here.
Spyrex gets the gold card, even though Shelly was popped. That was devastating for our wild card links.
Yeah, I kept looking at Izo's character saying like, oh, do you have the ult? You don't? Don't do that. And I mean, you go 1-for-1, but actually hold that thought.
Okay, if they can get a Zog, that's going to be nice, but with Odd Orange on the other side, they have that Featherstorm already used. They can jump on it to cleave at the very least and knock them up to the skies themselves with the bounce around from the anchor and make it a 1-for-1 trade bot.
Yeah, I mean, I respect the boldness. You do end up going 1-for-1, like you say, even though you know Odd Orange is likely on your side of the map. But overall, Wildcard Links, they're not afraid to scrap it out here in Game 3 with their tournament lives on the line. First place in UPL on the line. They are making plays. Oh man, the only thing was that top lane play was a little unlucky. There's a world in which you get that first turret, and all that bonus gold going to Rapid and Izo would have, well, allowed Wildcard to continue accelerating. But overall, they're still in not the most terrible of spots here.
No,
Chippies?
and as Izo is going to chase away Chippies, he uses his own jump away. Not going to get stunned up this time around by Izo. Mid lane, attempted play, gold card, pulled back in with the anchor, with no depth charge utilized just this time around. His top lane, Chippies, Izo, lots of damage. By their way, if ands or buts, as Vano, only his clone's taken back, but top lane, the 1v1 trade went over to the tank.
Man, and nobody ends up falling in the mid lane either. So this is Wildcard managing to make a play that ends up going positive for them here. And they're just continuing to just stack gold on their top and jungle, which is not what we expected looking into the draft. A lot of focus bot side for Maryville. So Crazy Goose has been put through the blender just a little bit here, is down 30 CS as a result. Keeps having to respect the fact that Odd Orange is in the area, but overall, Wildcard, they have the 5v5, they have the scaling in their favor, and the fact that Izo's getting this turret is huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of something you talked about in the Champions Select. The problem with Volibear is that he eventually falls off. Well, I thought that he was never going to be able to even get that start up in the first place after you had 2 kills for Chippies. But a lot of attention and a lot of help from his jungler has made it so that Izo was able to not only get back into the game, but take down the first turret for the wild cardlings, get a lot of influx of gold where they are still within that 1,000 up mark of Maryville. Even if they are falling behind in Dragons, they're keeping up, and this game is by no means over.
No, not at all. Much different from what we thought earlier on in the first few minutes because of that insane double. Still, Maryville continue to stack drakes like you say, and this is a big deal for them as well. Wildcard, next couple of minutes are going to have to put a lot of their focus on this bottom side because if they let that next dragon go through, Maryville getting soul point this early, it'll be the earliest we've seen it this series, and it will be a big deal for their comp as well because they want that dragon soul. And also, if you let that third dragon go through, you know how it goes. Okay, Baron's on the board. Dragons on the board? Do we let them take one? Do we let them take the other?
Chippies has been not spending any more time topside now that he doesn't have a tier 1 to protect him. Instead, moving around the map, hoping to be able to catch out Rapid, pretty much give him a taste of his own medicine. The spot lane,
wow,
nice,
that lands!
Nice land there. Flash away to be able to survive as Savano, Spyrex fighting mid lane. Gonna have the 1v1 on pause at the moment because we got bot lane Rapid jumping on top of Odd Orange and onto Shady. Gonna have to get the flash away to be able to survive. Here's the gold card flashed in, but the dodge in from Avano, but he's still gold carded, killed off 1-for-1 in the 1v1 mid.
Oh, and that shutdown is really big for Avano, actually. A nice cash injection into this LeBlanc, who has now finished that Luden's Tempest. Crazy Goose is in a little bit of trouble here, but overall, bot lane still heavily controlled by Maryville, but now we're starting to see ISO start to move across the map, kind of use the lead he's gotten for himself in other parts of Summoner's Rift. And we're going to see this mid-tier 1 go down. This is great because you can see the vision line is going to be able to be moved up by Wildcard, and that's going to be important fighting for these neutrals in the next few minutes.
But is traded for 2 at the same time. Top and bot were taken by Maryville. But I would argue that taking a tier 1 mid is far more impactful. Being able to translate that into that lane and try to reign control over Twisted Fate. Even if we haven't seen him move around the map too much, you know what he's able to do. Chippy's... Oh, you're not going to be able to get that sneaky TP away. We saw what you're trying to do, but there's Rapid. Even if you dodge the Spectrum Maul, here comes the Destiny
look
Gate
who's
opened
here.
up, and it's going to be the Gold Card flashed in. Heartbreaker takes a kill on the other side, but now it is going to be a battle. A level 3 discrepancy between the two here. Gold Card connects. You can't dodge away from that or an anchor to the face. Rapid even with the stun on Spyrex. Another Gold Card himself will burn down to Shady's red buff.
And man, that was a scrappy one. Spyrex coming in, they go for the trade, but Maryville will still come out on top here. Now, with no jungle available, Odd Orange can work his way over to this Rift Herald, and now they are going to be able to take the mid-tier 1. They're going to even things out when it comes to turrets, but actually put the map pressure in their favor once they're able to take down this mid-tier 1 turret. You see, looks like Wildcard do want to fight for it, so they aren't going to let it go easily.
No, but I'm laughing here, Beatdown, because it's a 17-minute game thus far, and we are at 22 kills. Last game was bloody, and this game is far more so. With the Rift Herald taken up by the Wildcardlings, their second one of this game, hopefully see a better use of it than the prior time.
That would be very swell for the Wildcardlings. We'll see. They might want to drop this one bottom. Maybe they could actually make a play where Dragon's coming up in 1 minute. While Maryville walk to it, they could drop Herald mid and potentially take 2 turrets.
Wow. Cues from both the carries on the side of Maryville connected onto Crazy Goose and chunked him out. He can't defend this tier 1 anymore in mid. Having to concede that to the side of Maryville, that control that they themselves were able to get when they had rotated ISO into the mid lane to take down Maryville's tier 1 now has been negated with that play.
Right now, but we do have, and this is what I was talking about. You see them trying to push this wave out. ISO is holding on to the Rift Herald, and they just want to trade this dragon for the tier 2, potentially the tier 3. But I like that Maryville are splitting their forces here.
Race?
Some threatening dragon, some threatening bot. 18-minute base race was not on the bingo card.
Yeah, I guess we're getting a base race because all 5 members of the Wildcardlings mid lane
Oh
they'll take
my
down a tier
God.
2. But you have both Chippies and Spyrex taking down the inhibitor. TP is going to be used behind, but now with everyone looking to engage, they can bounce them around and kill
What?
Spyrex. 3 members here, but a TP now used by Chippies into all 5 members. They got the kill and a cleave. They've got the kill back on the Chippies. 1-1-1 all across the board. They've gotten Odd Orange too, but Azog Shady have to escape as Shady's taken down. Double kill. Azog, he has to be a hero, taking down the bear, the god himself, but they can't. With a triple kill in tow, they open up the base of Maryville.
And wow, they might push for a little bit more. We're looking at 8 seconds on Spyrex. I don't think they end, do they?
Game. What? Right now they might be able to. They got 2 seconds till Spyrex is up.
Wait, they
and there
win!
goes the Nexus turret. We're not even 20 minutes into the game, and we're gonna have a series. Game 4, baby. Let's go.
What? Magical. What just happened?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm lost in the Matrix right now.
But I don't 19 pre 20 minutes, but they were winning in the early.
You know what, Beatdown? I think you and I both need to collect our thoughts.
I need some water.
Let's toss it to a break. I'd let the desk take care of this.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll be back.
What? Just what?
Yep.
What?
We have just witnessed a game of League of Legends take place. That is all.
What?
Amateur game of League of Legends, to be precise. Yes.
Here, Manny, I'll start off by asking you, what? Just thoughts?
That game was definitely not what I expected after the level 1. Let's just say that.
Well, hey, here's a level 1. Thank you to our producers and observers. As you can see, things go a little bit wary here, Saskia. You would think it goes one way and then it goes completely the other.
Yeah, as we can see here, Maryville sniffs out their potential level 1 invade. So what Wildcard was looking to do was send 2 people to go through the top tower to scare Chippies to start running towards the red buff, and that would allow Rakan to jump over the wall and knock him up. And from there, they would secure first blood. But Maryville somehow sniffed it out. Maybe they played against Winthrop. They saw our scrims or something, because I always called that play too in my game. So they sniffed it out. They got a double kill. Jace had triple longsword, and the game played out from there.
But, like, you would think the game would play out from there, right? You know, the early game goes decently well, and then you tune into my main man, Isa. But this isn't even, like, at his peak form. We were talking about how hard he got bullied this game, the previous game, I should say. My man did the bullying, this game, though, every time.
We thought that he was going to be in a world of hurt this game after the level 1, and then like Chippy's, you know, he's 2-0. He's got 3 long swords and like a tier, and then like, you know, poor Isa sitting up there with just a Doran's blade and a health pot, and we were like, oh man, like if anyone's going to end this game in under 20 minutes, it's going to be Maryville, surely, right? And then he just kept getting caught and overextending and dying over and over again. He started the game 2-0. He ended 3-8. Like it was not a very well coordinated play around the top lane here for Maryville in this game. It's just like over and over and over again, Rapid comes top, gets fed on this Viego, and the Viego reset and the fight at the end kind of wound up being what made the difference and allowed Wildcard to kind of steal this game.
Yeah, and this across the board like continues throughout, right? What you see, like you mentioned, like on the Chippies with that lead, you can translate that much to like many more places. And you have to note too as well, going back about 2 clips ago, you saw how strong the volley bear was as well. The reason why he's even able to shut down Chippies, right? It's like, yeah, just because Chippies was roaming so often, like he wasn't there to pick up a lot of the XP. Because of that, Iso was above a level 2, and so he just dove him level 6 and just like he got an easy solo kill. And so then we're already thinking like, whoa, okay, our bad Iso, suddenly you're just turning things up. And Wildcard generally kept their game alive, and going throughout the game, we're thinking, yo, they have it. It's a little bit back and forth. It's even. And the end of the game here, Saskia, like, just is where I'm thinking, what?
Yeah. So yeah, there was just some weird like little base race that happened at the end there, and then somehow we just see Harold knocking on all these structures, and all of a sudden Wildcard wins. So I was like, huh? What happened? I looked away for 1 second, I turned back, and Wildcard has the victory screen on their screen, and I was like, oh, very confusing, but they took the W here.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were trying to trade Dragon and the bottom inner, but they Wildcard had Rift Herald going down mid lane, and it was just like they got back and tried to fight it at a really strange time, and they kind of just walked in one by one and got killed off, and the game just ended, and we were all very shocked.
I know, I was genuinely shocked. Yeah, just like through in and throughout, just how it all ultimately went down. Like, I'm in awe of what we have had to witness here today. So I'm interested to see how things go like past this, right? Considering Wildcard is now on the come up. I said it was possibly going to be the final game of the night, right? It's now, I didn't call it already here, Magical, but I guess there's a possibility, and I'm very, very happy to be proven wrong. Wildcard stepping it up. So just with all the confusion, let me throw a bit more confusion your caster's way. I'm going to ask a very arbitrary question, and y'all can feel free to answer or not real quick. What do y'all prefer, microwave pizza or cold pizza? Go.
Microwave.
Yeah. I'm
I don't like
gonna
cold.
microwave.
Yeah,
I kind of like cold pizza. It's like depends where it's from, but usually microwave.
Yeah, usually honestly, I have a toaster oven, so I put it in the toaster oven.
Ooh,
So
yeah, me too.
that's I think the best way. But if I have to, it'll be microwave. Anyways, back on to the topic because what I echo
Yeah.
the sentiment of Ravish. That game was
Microwaved our brains.
It microwaved our brains. Yes, I'm still recovering from that because you have a level 1 fight where, from that point, Maryville should just win, and yet they don't. Somehow, we get a base race at 19 minutes into the game, and like they were talking about on the desk, they just started walking one after another. Maryville did, dying immediately afterwards, and we had a sub 20-minute game by the team that was down 2-0 to make it so we have a series. There's no sweep today, and we get a game 4, and like Ravish now corrected himself, possibly we have a last game that we're getting into, game 4 here. I doubt Maryville are going to play with their food like they did in game 3, but also you gotta feel confident if you're the Wildcardlings after that kind of game. Hopefully that makes them feel inspired to go into this game, get us that potential for the reverse sweep.
I was going to say that's got to do wonders for the mental. You're down 0-2 after what was a disturbingly powerful stomp in the game 2 coming out from Maryville. You think you're at the end of your ropes here if you're the Wildcardlings, but they bring it out in the end. Even like in again a game that I don't even want to talk about anymore, just because man, that was something. But now as we go into game 4, the potential last game in the series, and that we have side swaps. What's draft going to look like this time around? I think largely we aren't going to see things change too much in terms of the first wave bans, especially based on what we're already seeing. But now that Maryville are back on the blue side, what is Wildcard going to let through on the first pick? It seems like Rise is definitely not one of them, as they're banning that one once again. But now on their third pick, I'm curious, Lee Sin or Viego? Or
I'm curious too, and I feel like I'm the one who should be asking you the question. You're
That's
the color
true.
caster here. You're the one who's supposed to be the big brain. I'm supposed to be the one kind of thinking what is going to happen. But that Polar Bear ban by Maryville, you can only ban Ziggs or Lee Sin. You have to choose what you think is going to be more important. And clearly, the Wildcardlings after game 1 think that it is the Ziggs. They do not want to have to deal with that in the bot lane and how he neutralizes so much. But if that actually is a LeBlanc picked up by that is, the Lee Sin's wide open for the Wildcardlings.
yeah, and potentially they grab it for themselves. Maybe they get Viego and something else. No, it is going to be the Lee Sin. You do want to, oh no, damn, I was right the first time. Should have trusted my gut. But yeah, Rapid had a good game in the previous one. So it makes sense that if it's open, you grab it for yourselves again. But Wildcard, interestingly enough, gives Spirax the opportunity to bind this LeBlanc with some of the bans that came through. So now Spirax, much like before in Ivano's shoes, doesn't have to worry about blinding this champion.
I'll be honest, I was almost expecting to see our Wildcardlings go for Viego and Lee Sin. We've seen a couple teams, actually, if you look back to the third place matchup yesterday, the teams actually didn't really even care about playing Lee Sin in jungle. He was much more in the lanes than he actually had been for quite some time. We've been seeing him really stick out in the jungle with the changes that he received to make him back into that role. But some players, some teams still feel confident enough taking him into the lanes. But Odd Orange is getting his champion once more as Shady 2 will take Nautilus to go up against that Recon Cleavis played for now the third time.
Yeah, now this third pick, before we go back to the second ban phase, is going to be the most interesting to me. I was wondering if it is going to be that Xayah, and I guess that is the one they lock in here. So this is it's a little unlucky in some ways, because right now Wildcard have been doing a lot of the blinding despite being on the red side here. So now they are going to ban away, again, some champs away from Chippies in the top side. I imagine both of those bans are going to go through. And now, what are they going to give Iso topside? Because Volibear is taken away, Set is also taken away. Other champions he's played in the series haven't really worked out very well. Aatrox would be pretty interesting, yeah.
That's something that he's played a lot throughout the UPL Summer Split and playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that callback come in here, but it probably will be the blind pick, the last pick for the Wildcardlings. As in this second part of bans, Camille, Olaf, technically jungle, but not here. It is Chippies that they're aiming for, showing me that they are making sure that ISO is going to have as easy a time as humanly possible in the top lane. But Jace has been left open, which Chippies likes to play. The Kayle ban as the final ban is a bit surprising to me to see that one instead of the Jace. And yeah, we'll see how Wildcardlings actually approach this as they take that counter pickup of Lissandra.
Yeah, it's very safe, so it's going to make it harder to snowball, especially with Lee Sin LeBlanc as such a strong mid-jungle duo. So, and it's one you can make plays through because there is a nice amount of gank assist should Rapid make his way to the mid lane on a good timer. So now, it is going to be top counter pick going for Wildcardlings. And what are we going to see from these top laners actually? So it's going to be the Aphelios matching carry for carry in the bottom lane. And a top laner of some sorts.
We haven't actually seen Aphelios really touch throughout this this series here in the grand finals. Both teams have let it slip through time and time again, feeling that he just doesn't have that same power that he once had. But here, Azog's like, all right, cool. We're going to go for a bot lane that's not really going to have the most interactivity as Chippies grabs Gangplank, another champion we've seen dominate during this meta, during Season 11, but has been completely ignored up until now in this series.
Yeah, and it's tough. Aatrox isn't taken away, so like you were talking about, Magical, Iso could go for that one. I don't believe that. I'm just going to talk about
there it is.
The top. Oh, okay, yeah, it is going to be Aatrox. So that one I'm pretty sure is a little tough for Aatrox earlier on. I think, but as time goes on, he is going to be that really beefy drain tank that we all know him as, and will be able to be a good frontliner in some of these team fights, especially when you have engaged in that Rakan, and even the Lissandra if you end up getting a pick in some certain scenarios here. So it's not bad, I think, overall, but top lane, again, I think has to be a focus here for both of these teams. One, you obviously want your Gangplank to get a lead, and if you're Wildcardlings, you don't want Gangplank on Summoner's Rift.
No. And here is a bigger question I will posit to you, Nathan.
Okay.
Do we get another level 1 shenaniganery fight top lane between these two teams?
I'm going to say no, or maybe if we do, Wildcardlings will back off when they realize, oh, you know what? We shouldn't be here. This is not good. I know how much you love that, Alex. It's deep in your soul. I see it on your face. You're like, come on, mate.
I love it.
Say it. Say it will happen. I need it. But I can't, man. I can't lie to you.
I appreciate that. You know, honesty is appreciated. I would love to have that happen, but after that game from Maryville, losing a game under 20 minutes when you have a base race that's attempted at 19, this is the grand finals. They want to get that title for themselves, their first year of the UPL. Well, you're not going to really play it so coy going into game 4. You do not want that to potentially lead into a game 5 and be in a spot where it is a reverse sweep momentum working for the Wildcardlings.
Right, so this game, the performance is going to be really important here for Maryville, especially because the fact is they had everything going for them in game 3. You got a 3 longsword Jace walking back to lane because he picks up a double kill. There's no reason why that should be, you should end up losing a game like that. But Chippies, not respecting some of the timers Rapid had moving up to the top side, got shut down, got ganked, then he got ganked again, and you all saw the game. So this time around, you find yourself a lead like that, you have to realize that, okay, I have a lot of money on me. I'm not trying to give that one away. And that's how you properly snowball some of these leads here. I think overall, most other situations, Maryville do end up winning games like that.
But here we are, loaded up into game 4. Maryville University are 1 game away from their first UPL title. They're tied with the most splits with Supernova without taking that title for themselves. And all they have to do is win this game over the Wildcardlings. And look what we got, Nate. They're all grouped together once more.
And Maryville have Reddit, so they are watching to see if everyone comes through. Okay, maybe not.
Have they?
Oh, Azog?
Azog's by himself.
Brother?
He's pathing down. They've spotted him out. The flash with flash away from Azog.
Yeah, it absolutely had to be done there. That's already a tough position to be in. No flash on your Aphelios early on. And there you go. That's a success. If you're the wild card lings, now you know that's a pressure point in the next few minutes of play here that wild card can try and pressure. If you end up getting some early kills on that bottom side of the map, things could go very well here, especially considering Rapids and Odd Orange are farming top to bottom. We're going to see some early fights for bot prio and for that Scuttle Crab.
Right now, Rapid path all the way back up to be able to get that red buff that had been spotted out by a ward placed down from LeBlanc. Good path up, make sure they can get a little bit of control, understand the knowledge game that can contain Rapid from being able to do what he did last time, gank topside over and over and over and over again. But I want to see what the wildcardlings do after this. Now that they've got that flash off of Azog, do they continue to try to harass it, or is it all a ploy? Is it a bait so they can play around topside yet again?
Well, we do see Rapid. He is finished the red, and now he's moved to the bottom side already. It's looking like a potential 3 camp into a gank here on the bot side of the map. And there it is. That answers your question. They're trying to take advantage of the fact that this Aphelios is flashless here. And I love that, because this is how you snowball early game plans into victories.
Mid lane, Vano Spyrex trade back and forth between the two teams. Well, the two mid laners. That Aftershock from Ivano, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Aftershock Lissandra anymore. It's not as good as it used to be. They really nerfed that. So I feel like if you want to be able to take over that mid lane to be able to bully him, you go for something like the Seminary yourself for the combat. But that's neither here nor there, because bot lane, no flash from Azog. Oh, Shady!
Oh,
body blocking! What a hero!
Yeah, and that was a big deal for this Aphelios to be able to walk away from this one. Doesn't even have to use the heal. But because of that ward place, Odd Orange trying to go for a response isn't actually going to find anything. So that's a good ward there from, I think it was Cleve who ended up dropping that one there. So it's going to be, I think, an easy Scuttle Crab and potentially a double Scuttle if Rapid just wants to sprint to the top side.
So that looked a little bit dicey, and a flash parlay might be able to take him down, but we got to trade here in the jungle. Rapid trying to be able to escape from Odd Orange. We want to be able to get one more Q to connect, but instead, we'll fall back, control the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, so it is going to be crab for crab trade. It's looking like both junglers did go for the 3 camp into a play.
Is it going to be crab for crab? Because
I would like to think so.
Yeah, Spyrex is on his way to contend against Rapid and deny that from easily going over. Yeah, here's Odd Orange to deny that too.
Yeah, that one feels really bad. Like you said, because Spirax moves first, it's not going to go through. And now Rapid is just going to have to clear whatever camps he has left. Basically go top to bottom once again here, and then go for a recall. And at this point, wow, okay, now you have Odd Orange also going for the Rapid invade too.
Yeah, Odd Orange not really relenting on that pressure against Rapid. I think Chippies just told him, like, nope, you're playing Lee Sin. You're bullying him because I do not want to be camped again this game. I am playing Gangplank. I need to scale up, and he is doing a pretty good job at the moment of being the king of topside.
Yeah, realistically, Izo is down a handful of CS already. So this matchup definitely going the way of Chippies. He got the TP back to lane with Sheen, which is a big deal for Gangplank too. So at this point, Chippies is pretty happy about the spot he finds himself in. Oh, Rapid is in the area.
Here. Gonna get the flash out of Chippies though with the Spectrum Awe. He holds onto that and gets a lot of damage with the help of that massive minion wave stack. Chippies in fact chasing down 2 members. Dark and Blade, the flash in! First blood solo
Look who's here.
by Chippies. Rapid, you gotta set up the camp, but it doesn't matter this time because Chippies is king.
Oh, and that's such a big deal for Chippies in the top lane. And Maryville as a whole, Rapid, he felt the pressure. The fact is he had to go top to bottom, but with half of his camps gone, it seemed like a waste of time. He has to make a play top. That's what he is feeling here. And because of that, because he tries to help Izo, it all falls apart. And now he still has these level 1 camps to clear in some areas. And you have Chippies, the Gangplank, with 2 kills to his name. He gets the back. That's a Kindle gem. That's a long sword. Chippies is in control now.
Though I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here. Chippy's
Ah,
had 2
true.
kills last time around, and he ended up getting ganked over and over again by Rapid. But this time,
This is Gangplank.
yeah, it's Gangplank, and Chippy's was 1v2 when he got those kills. Sure, Odd Orange was there to get himself 1 assist, but it was all off the back of Chippy's.
Right, and as a result, now Chippy's in control topside. Izo doing whatever he can to set some deep wards up because you know Odd Orange is going to find himself on the top side of the map. We're at this point where both teams have continued to ignore the dragon. We actually have a play bot side.
What? Yeah, just Rapid killing Shady bot lane. We didn't get
Cool.
to see that, but you know, good for him. Good for him to be able to get something back because right now we are watching
God
this
knows he needs
1v1 fight between Chippies and Izo. I'm expecting to see Chippies just harass him over and over again, and I almost was expecting the barrel chain to chunk out Izo to half health, but instead just going to clear out the minion waves, back off, reset, not playing as aggressively as he did with his lead last time.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important difference between last game and this game. But Ivano is in trouble.
He should
No,
be fine.
okay.
He's got Frozen Tomb, so.
Yep, and it's going to be... Sorry, I was just waiting to see if he would actually go in on that. So it's going to be first drag over to Wildcard links. So they are going to be able to at least get some neutrals for themselves early on. But overall, the fact is they still have... There's still a lot of scaling on the side of Maryville, and Shady has been able to move around the map a lot easier compared to Cleve. Like, look, he's here in the area at the moment. The second Ivano comes up,
Sparks is trying to bait out Ivano to say, "Oh, you've got this. I believe in you." He's
Yeah.
even playing, you know, passively, like, "Oh, you'll be fine." There's the Frozen Tomb, but
Oh, wait a
JD
minute.
whiffing the dredge line. He had to flash over just to make sure they can secure that Ivano's still alive. Thankfully, Cleve there to save his mid laner.
yeah, so flash for flash mid. And that is a really big read from Cleve. Even though he was late to the play, he does end up recognizing it and helping out his mid like he talked about. So Ivano doesn't lose his life. He gets to walk away and actually TP back to lane if he so chooses as well. And now bot lane is where our eyes are set on as both supports walk their way back in. But I have a feeling we're not going to be looking to fight.
No, not with the Felio Zaya bot lane.
Not
Sure,
red and
the
white.
Nautilus Recon. Yeah, and it's the gun choices as well for Azog. There's no real reason to fight at this moment. Shady and Cleve, maybe they might want to fight, but Azog, Crazy Goose, not really. They're kind of content just pushing out the minion wave.
Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be for the next little bit here. I think topside is probably where we want to have our focus just because
There it is.
one, Orange is here and the Ripped Herald is on the table. Really important here, especially for Maryville, who are already in the lead. If they can just get a dive top onto Izo, that's already a lot of gold you're going to put in Chippy's pockets. If they get that first turret, Magical, oh my god.
I'm even wondering if they want to fully commit for the dive or if they just want to crash the minion wave in and then peel back like they're doing onto the Rift Herald, saying, yeah, we're fine. Chippies doesn't have to go for this just yet. There's no cannon barrage, no flash for Chippies either. Why throw away that lead? Though bot lane, JD has a little bit of escape duel. Unfortunately, he's not taking enough just yet. Rapid, if he can pick up that kill, it's going to be nice so they can get more gold into the Rune King.
Yeah, and again, Rapid picking up these kills just like he did in Game 3 is going to be really crucial here for the wild card lanes. And now all we can really do if your Azog is try and take these prugs, deny it in case Rapid is trying to come through, especially because he can't step up to that minion wave at the moment here. But Herald does still go in Maryville's favor. And now, because they know Rapid's on the bottom side of the map, he can go for the invade, take some of these camps, and I imagine Herald is going to be dropped on the top side. Chippies has that first item spike with the Trinity Force. Big deal for Gangplank. So if he comes top side, it can certainly make a play happen.
With Odd Orange hanging out right outside of the Krugs, that is exactly what they should do. They should just pop it there, get more and more gold piled into your Pirate King. Let him plunder aplenty against that of the wild card link. Though, Odd Orange has to kick away Izo just to make sure that he can make his own great escape as Ivano gets slowed down by the barrel chain. Orange, like I said, should have popped that eye. Instead, they're going to have to back out of this one and let Chippy just slowly but surely fight against ISO consistently. Even though he is getting chased down, there's no World Ender anymore for Aatrox to really feel that content with the fight.
You're right. Alt for alt. So doesn't go the way Maryville wanted. And it's a big deal because Ivano did have that TP advantage. He uses it to protect his top laner from that dive. And now still have some time on the Eye of the Herald here. So Orange could look to drop it in another spot. Maybe mid lane. Get some extra gold in Spirax's pocket as well too. Wouldn't be bad.
But I feel, look at this. I think I'd just rather be onto Chippies because Chippies could solo kill ISO.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you make a convincing argument. I think I'm on your side now. But I think it's still going to be about a minute. Yeah, I think it's still going to be a minute before Orange ends up on that side of the map. See him pathing towards the bottom side. You could drop Herald mid and walk towards the dragon and kind of prevent the stacking that Wildcard have done so far here.
I guess the real reason is like you don't need to put more gold into Chippies. He's doing fine on his own. He's getting his own gold. 3 kills now. All 3 of the kills, like we can make an argument, were all from himself. He is that far ahead in this top side of the map that ISO is completely irrelevant on Aatrox. He is there purely to feed more gold into gameplay whenever he's like, all right, I can kill you now.
That's cold, but I mean, you're not wrong, Alex. That's the thing. The only thing worth note though is that Chippies may have to TP to actually join the fight. He used that cannon barrage just to make sure he could kill ISO, so he's not actually able to affect the cross map while staying in lane. So it's looking like Maryville are fine dropping this dragon, but we are going to see the Herald come through, and there's the fight.
Oh, that is a huge fight, too, getting the Feather Storm out of Crazy Goose immediately. Distortion was in from the side of Spyrex, but no follow-up. Instead, they're making sure they can control that mid lane and take down the tier 1 away from the wild cardlings while slowly but surely chipping at the health bar that they might have.
It's unfortunate you do end up splitting that bonus gold 4 ways, but overall, it's still a big deal to drop this turret, especially so early. Allow Spirax to move across the map while being able to shove in this mid wave here. And so much so that many members of Wild Cardlings are in the mid lane at the moment, just trying to keep mid shove while it looks like a wave is crashing bot, so you got to imagine Goose wants to move down there.
Goes into knock up grand entrance. They got the kill. Cleve was able to take him
the
down.
resets.
Now it's a 3v4 with all that kills and all the gold potential that they could have exerted there, all in top lane because Chippies could not join himself. I thought that maybe the Wild Cardlings were going to go a little bit further, but instead they get the 1 kill, back it off, and now try to go top lane since Chippies the entire time was pushing out
the orange
and being greedy again. No oranges, but is he okay with the blast cone behind him? Grand entrance will be canceled by Chippies, but he could not take down one with him.
No, he is going to give away the shutdown, but again, a lot of people committed to this play, so now you have Spirax teleporting bot to this wave jump into the tower. He's trying to clear so that Wild Cardlings end up losing this golden XP on the bot side here and try to get as much damage into the turret as possible. Probably won't be able to take it down, but it is something here for the side of Maryville. And now, because the map is rather dark, Ivano is holding back until Cleve can get in the area, because I think we could see a play-made bot.
Spyrex isn't in too much of a threat from Ivano, who does not have Frozen Tomb available. That would be the one tool to make sure they could follow up like they did last time. So until that cooldown is up, they have to just wait it out. Let's take a look at the... Okay, hold on. We'll take a pause on that because, like I said, that Frozen Tomb is going to be up soon, Spyrex, and you are playing with fire at the moment. You are being incredibly aggressive. Double distortion away the flash too, just to survive.
Right, and like you said, the aggressive trading, the fact that if that charm lands, it's probably done so. For Spirax means he's got to let this one go with the flash. And you can see we got a big difference top lane here. 3,000 gold in Chippy's pocket. Yeah, just a bit. But if you look across the board here, it just leads all for Maryville. And they're going to allow Chippies with some attention from the rest of the team to just take this turret, get more gold in his pocket. He's so strong, Alex. And ISO's dead.
He's
Bye.
dead. They've just delivered him on a silver platter to Chippies. He can do only so much before eventually he'll die. Even though he's got a lot of
Wait.
damage back onto Odd Orange, he
Oh,
was able to
okay.
heal up with the help of the Gore Drinker. That's all it was delaying his inevitable death. But mid lane, Azog is going to be the target coming in from Crazy Goose and Rapid.
He's on the
Flash
flash.
forward, the flash away to be able to survive, and now Odd Orange is there to make sure that he's going to survive.
Nice, and that's perfect. No response play coming through for Wildcard Link. So this is exactly how Maryville want these ones to play out. Chippies can continue to pressure top tier 2. He can also help with the cannon barrage to make sure the mid tier 1 isn't actually able to be threatened here. Rift Herald is going. Maryville, they're winning all across the map right now, Alex. They are taking it all.
The only thing is the tier 1 that was secured by Ivano bot lane to at least get some pittance of gold back for the team. But when you lose that, like you take that in loss of tier 2 top side to Chippies, and he's able to cash in for a collector, things are going poorly for you. The Wildcardlings have yet again got to shut down this gangplank, because we saw before that he had that 3,000 gold lead over ISO. I was going to say Ivano. Mixing the two names. ISO. That's not necessarily good because you picked this Aatrox to be that team fighting threat, the guy who is going to be able to hold his own against Chippies, and that has definitely not been the case.
No, it has not. Since beginning of this game till this time, Iso has not been having a good time on this Aatrox. Chippy's running the show. We keep talking about it for a reason. And at this point, Wildcard, the only real turret they can threaten is this mid-tier 1 because it's the only wave they have shoved in at the moment. And it's so hard. You can see them resorting to these bush plays here now that they're about 4k behind. They have all these pink wards out, really trying to hope somebody walks into them. That's the play here.
The thing is that gold lead is all onto Chippies, and he is topside.
Coming.
Now is he rotating, but will he be there in time?
Oh,
They've got a
the
lot of
charm.
damage with the World Ender, and they've taken down 2 already. Chippies realizing the fight's not looking so good for them. They've got 3 kills now for the wild card lanes, as Iso, even though he was getting a lot of damage from Spyrox on the other side, it means that his team now can turn their attention back onto this mid laner with the Ignite taken away and get a killing spree by the damn support.
Man, Wildcard, they commit by overloading mid, and it ends up working out for them here. Still, they haven't been able to fully reduce the deficit they find themselves in, but it is
Not
about
yet.
down to about 2,000. They are going to take this turret, which is a big deal for pushing Vision as well. And biggest thing, they're actually going to get Soul Point on this Infernal Soul here, which is going to be a big damage boost if they manage to pick up that 4th Dragon. Maryville now have to be very conscious of this.
That gives a lot of control to the wild card lanes, where Chippies has been able to reign supreme in his lane on the top half of the map. The rest of the map is wild cardlings. That fight was huge for them, making sure Spyrex cannot get the kill onto Iso, so this LeBlanc can start getting an influx of gold necessary to become a threat, and then also getting the kill immediately onto Azog too, so this Aphelios is still trying to scale up comparatively to that of Crazy Goose.
Yeah, now you can see overall though, at least Azog has been keeping up when it comes to farm. In fact, he's actually ahead a good amount here. So Wildcard, they're gonna have to keep it up with these stacking plays if they're going to want to catch up here. And I like that they took advantage of the fact that Chippies wasn't available. Like you said, he's pretty much the whole gold lead. Every other lead is there, but somewhat negligible. So if Chippies isn't there, you can get a big amount of damage done in some of these team fights, and that's how you find your way back in.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can see right there, Spyrex, he got a little bit of a combo that barely even tickled Rapid. It's not enough to get through the Ruined King with that Divine Cinder to heal himself back up to full. And then you also look across the board. You see that, sure, maybe certain members have CS leads, but with a 1-0 and 4 Zaya, with 0-0 and 4 Lissandro, with a slight CS lead over LeBlanc, things are looking well for the side of the Wild Cardlings. Plus, that's the second solo turret Ivano's picked up for himself.
Yeah, so a nice amount of gold he's gotten over Spirax, his mid lane opponent here. But overall, we're still seeing trades come through from Maryville. Nothing taken freely here from the side of the Wild Cardlings. And now Ivana is forced to reset as well, so he doesn't run into Spirax. Nothing to really fight for right now. I don't think we'll see an early Baron force come through, especially with TPs being up all around. But at this point, setting up vision around that objective for the next few minutes will be really important until we get to this dragon, because Alex's dragon is a big deal for both of these teams. Maryville cannot let this one go here if they want to end the series here and now, because an Infernal Soul would really increase Wildcard Link's chances.
Exactly. You get more damage for Izo to try to have those 1v1s actually side with that Darken Lord himself. Then you have that also for Rapid, for Ivano, for Crazy Goose. Hell, even for Cleve, he's 3-0-5 on the Recon at this point.
Yeah, which is insane. The bounty he's actually been able to grab for himself here. And there's ways they can do this. At this point, things are just really slow at the moment here. It's just trying to fix your side waves here if you are the Wildcard League, especially top. You do have a lot to work to do there. And, wait, I gotta know. What did I say?
So, look at the gold difference between Izo and Cleve.
That is a big number.
Yeah, the thing is, you're looking at Chippies and Izo. I'm looking at Izo and Cleve. Yeah.
That's depressing. To be fair, Cleve is 3-0. Which doesn't often happen as a sport, but yeah, not great.
No, not great. Not great at all, though. Rapid was able to get the stun over the wall. Doesn't follow it up, unfortunately, because Shady, Chippies, even Azog and Spyrex are nearby. Depth charge flashed away. Double knockup. Cleve now going to be the target. They got the root with the TV in behind. Ivano, though, not going to be able to show up in time to be able to help out with the World Ender used. They've got the damage coming in. They've got to be careful because this time Chippy's into the part of the fight, and he's hitting him with the bank, hitting him with the wallet. He's already got the kills he needs to for the team, with Rapid taken down by Azog. Crazy Goose flashed away to be able to survive, but he's taken down finally by LeBlanc. Looking for that ace. All they need is one more. Followed up onto Ivano. He's running for the hills. He's got a little bit of damage, but Spyrex has got his own damage that he provides with a distortion ace finally, only at the trade of one little support.
Oh, Rapid is going to regret trying to be cheeky at that red buff. The fact that he reveals himself, you see it on orange, abandons the red. All of Maryville say, wait a second, Rapid, you're a little in too deep here, buddy. And they commit it all to take him down. And first, Cleve dies for Rapid Sin, and the rest of the team fall with him. That's going to be the Baron. We're still 20 seconds away from the Dragon, so that empowered recall plus the teleports means you have time to make it back for this Dragon. And look at Chippies. He's at his third item, BF sword. Like, it's gross.
Yeah, I mean, he is hitting him with his bank. Not even the wallet. That is
the
how
whole
good
bank.
He is. He has got a whole ATM that he is bringing out and just throwing at them. And unless you can annihilate him immediately, you've got to kill the gangplank first. Otherwise, you have no hope of being able to fight at this back. You can even see right there, with Chippies nearby, the rest of the squad too, the Wildcardlings concede the fact they can't get soul point just yet.
No, you absolutely have to. If you go for that fight, you get aced, you lose the game. So they have to buy their time for the side of the Wildcardlings and just pray that they don't lose too much off this Baron push, because at this point, Maryville, they can start fishing, Alex. They can start looking for what could be the last fight here. As soon as somebody even steps one iota out of position, Maryville will converge.
And here, Chippies, he's got a pretty sizable lead with experience, with gold, with everything. Ivano, Frozen Tombs
that's
himself,
Frozen Tomb.
but Odd Orange wants to follow it up. Moonlight Vigil did not connect. The rest of the members disperse out of the Wildcardlings, not yet wanting to group up because they know that unless they can actually jump into the back line, jump on top of Chippies, there is no hope. Or if you can catch out someone like Spyrex, he's just got nothing left for the team to really do here. Spyrex will be able to get a double root. No charge going to connect just yet from Shady.
Right, and all the members of Maryville moving means this turret will still go down here. And of course, as always, Chippies getting some alone time with a wave here in the mid lane. As again, you can just see Maryville are playing this Baron buff so well. Wildcardlings doing their best to try and catch somebody out, trying to pressure somebody, but it's hard when your only option is to try and pin down a LeBlanc.
Yeah, and then even if you pin down said LeBlanc, you're not really dealing with the person who actually has all the gold. The lead,
Yep.
7,500 for Maryville, is nearly purely into one member's inventory, one member's entire economy that he's been able to grab for himself, all from that 2-kill
Isaac.
early on. Here, Maryville, they're one step away from claiming their first UPL title. They have forced back the Wild Cardlings. It is death's door they now face off against, and unless they can have a miracle play, it might be a 3-1 victory for Maryville.
All the ults are back onto the table. Crazy Goose doesn't have flash still, but he has ult. Here we go.
Miracle could be there if they can kill Shady quickly enough. Chippies is still not there. They've got the roots as well. Aesop goes golden. He's got a pretty big shield, but they've taken down 2 members. Chippy, he sees how low the rest of the members of the Wild Cardlings are, but he is now being targeted. They've got the damage. Double kill was not going to be enough to turn it around for Maryville. Good Orange and Spyrix, the 2 sole survivors. They could be chased down here. Izo's right on his heels. If he can take down him, that is a nice comeback mechanic here for the Wild Cardlings, and even Odd Orange realizes that he doesn't have enough to be able to survive. They've caught up with him. The chase is over. The knockup's inbound, and Golden plucks into the top lane of the Wild Cardlings.
And this is such a big deal here, the fact that they pick up a lot of these shutdowns. And Wildcard, again, we talked about it. Chippies is the big guy with the lead. He's the big damage dealer with so much gold he could be 2 champions. But he wasn't involved. And even though he has that cannon barrage, it does not count for the fact, it doesn't really replace the fact that he is not there. So they need to be more careful on the side of Maryville when you're trying to pressure some of these objectives like turrets, because Wildcard, they're going to look for it. And if they see Chippies isn't around, they're full sending.
And look at this. We technically, Wild Cardlings have a lead just in kills. 13-11 in the kills that they have over Maryville, but still Maryville are the ones with the gold. And it all boils down to their carries, like you talked about. Chippies needs to be a part of the fights. He's the one with the gold. He's now gotten his 4th item into this game, just shy of that 30-minute mark.
Dude, those barrels will kill Crazy Goose.
Yep,
Like,
one-shot him.
literally, he... 80% crit chance. Oh my god, dude. Like, it's so unreal. He just needs to be part of these fights, Magical.
Yeah.
Just let him in.
Exactly. Just don't start a fight. Don't split off too much, because it's not looking too well for them, though. Iso takes a lot of damage, and
see
he
ya.
is picked up with 3 members jumping right on top of him, and Spyrex himself has found him his own rampage.
This is a really inopportune moment there from Iso. Even though he has teleport, he won't be back in time for the dragon spawn. So you got to imagine. Oh my god!
Ah! Ivano, what the hell happened, buddy? That crit from the barrels, and look who's here! It's the rest of Maryville. Chippy's that cute parlay, buddy. He's the Pirate King, and he is now in charge. Everyone's running away from the Wild Cardlings. But when you have Chippy's a part of it, we said that that's when Maryville win, and look at that. They're TPing in to look for victory.
And it's just that simple, Magical. The Fed Gangplank in Chippies comes through, and Wild Cardlings fall apart here. Even Rapid Tanky, as he is, will fall.
Queues are insane. The fight is inbound. The Wild Cardlings last stand, but Chippies takes them all down. The ace comes through. The title is there. Maryville, claim your reward with one more Nexus turret, but without the minions and with respawns now coming through from the Wild Cardling. It will delay it, but only momentarily, only for a few seconds. You don't have much to run back to. There's no longer a wall. They've knocked it all down. Cleve engages with Ivano going
Wait,
golden.
unless?
They got killed, but the damage from Chippies. That's the man you gotta stop. That's the man they can't do shit about, because it's gonna be the title. 3-1 for Maryville.
And there it is. Wildcard couldn't do anything about Chippies in the top lane, and they end up falling apart. The only game they won, Magical, was one where they perma-camped the OCE top laner. But how many games can you do that and get away with it?
None. Well, apparently only one. Not
Yep.
even none. Chippy's there just showed what happens when he's able to get a lead and then not throw it away. Even with the ganks that came in from Rapid, it wasn't enough this time around to stop that gangplank from going 11-2.
Man, yeah, they could not get on top of him. The moment they even tried, they ended up throwing 2 kills his way in the early game. And very unlike game 3, they had a very easy time translating that one into a win. You got to give credit to the Wildcard Links. They definitely made it competitive for a couple of those games. But overall, Maryville, this is what we talked about. You even made a really good point on the cast before. Things really popped off at the end, how the kills were in favor of the wild card leagues. But the fact is, Maryville had a significant gold lead. This is what we talked about going into the cast today. And this is why Wildcard needed to bring their A game the best they could, because Maryville, the way they play the map around these objectives, around these sideways, is the fact is they collect so much gold and they force teams to bleed if you're not playing macro correctly. And that's what we saw happen.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was nice from Maryville. There was definitely some hiccups in that game 4 from them, but it does kind of help when you have, what was that, a 7,000 gold lead between the top laners?
Yeah. It was a whole other champion.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently 9K.
It was 9K. Yeah. So even ended the game with a
65.
9K gold lead for Chippies over ISO. That's insane.
It is, and that's the power of that pick, and that's what happens when they get to play through Chippies on the top side of the map here. And we talked about how important that was in today's matchup, just lately in the meta, trying to win through mid, trying to translate that top, and it just comes to fruition so beautifully here for the side of Maryville University. Again, their first title in UPL, despite being tied for the most amount of entries since its inception. So congrats to them.
And it's a 3-1 victory on that. Congratulations definitely out there for Maryville. Also, a congratulations to the side of the Wildcard Links. It was their last time as a team, but they made it to the grand finals. There was a good showing from them. It was a lot of fun. They got a fast sub 20-minute game. You take that to the bank if I'm them. But let's give it over to our desk so they can break down this series and really send us home for our summer split. So Ravish, take us out.
Thank you, Magical and Beatdown Boulevard, bro. Fantastic cast from y'all today. Gentlemen, I am elated, enthralled, and excited, and also a little bit sad because although this reaches pretty much the end of our season, but what a phenomenal way and what a phenomenal game to end it on. Like, genuinely, like, firstly, just starting it off, a massive congrats over to Maryville University for finally winning your first ever UPL split. They've been so close so many times, but making it to finals and getting all the way home. So big shout out to them. And I'm very, very excited to see what kind of prospects they have looking towards the next PG split. And to Wildcard, bro, GG's to y'all. I know y'all played y'all hearts out. And although it's the last time for many of y'all playing together, it was a beautiful thing to watch, and I'm glad that y'all played the way you did. Big hats off to you. But to wrap up the game of the overall series, Saskia, let's start off with you, man.
Yeah, so overall, this series, I would say Maryville just played really well. I would like to give a shout out to Odd Orange. Like, he just had it insane. He played really wild. And it's particularly that three camp gank from the Lee Sin game. And even in this game, he played really well. So his words of teams, if you want to win, you got to ban Lee Sin. It's true, because he picked Lee Sin and he won the game. So let's keep it simple, teams. If you want to win against Maryville University, ban Lee Sin, because Odd Orange is a beast on that champion.
Bro, like, we see this like every single time. This dude's like undefeated on this pick, and literally, Saskia, as you were saying, bro, it's one of his favorites, and he knows how to run a game with this champion. Considering how Maryville are able to make a ton of plays just off of his pathing, and based on what Odd Orange is able to do, yeah, you don't want to give him something that has agency like that. But Manny, looking towards you on this, bro. Talk to me a bit more about the series as a whole, especially, looking at Wildcard's comeback and how we really thought they had it here.
Yeah, it looked again like Wildcard were going to be able to capitalize on Maryville's like sort of like the greedy plays that they'll occasionally make throughout the series. They did it again this time, but it didn't quite snowball out of hand like it did last game. We saw this flank here. Maryville should really just drop this Herald and run, but instead they kind of get locked down and just obliterated. And you think, okay, Wildcard, they've actually like made their way back into this game, but unfortunately, it was not enough for them to close out in time, and it just allowed it basically allowed Chippies to scale up and become, honestly, one of the most disgusting gangplanks like I've ever seen in a competitive game. He was so fed. It was crazy.
Just the fact that if you look throughout the beginning and the near end of the team fights, look at this game. I want you all to watch Chippies. Where did Avano's health go? That was a second. Like, here, watch this again. Look, yeah, slow it down. Look. Barrel comes in, second, boom.
Like this is something out of like a YouTube like highlight reel, like for gangplanks, right? You'd see this in like stream highlights. Like that's a crazy crit. To me, the one that's more impressive though is like later in the fight when he's chasing down Crazy Goose and he just chunks like 80% of his HP with one gangplank Q. I'm like, okay, this game is done. He just shuts him down after that. But watch Crazy Goose. He just goes. Boom. Boop. And there goes like maybe 70-80% of his HP is just gone. Like that was a fed gangplank.
Here, yeah, run that back. Yeah, look at that. Just 860 right away with one Q, bro.
Like the power of Oceanic.
He's got IE, he's got, he's got the Collector, he's got Triforce, he's got, LDR. He is peak endgame fantasy on Gangplank right there, and Chippies was a force to be reckoned with this game.
100%. Sasuke, you would raised it here too, man. That's the power come from down under. All will do so well, but if we're not looking towards just the overall series as a whole, right? So, talk to me about both these teams, just Sasuke. What kind of main takeaways can we really see from these 4 games?
Yeah, so overall, I would say watching more in depth of Maryville's games now, I'd say they mainly like to play around their junglers, and they tend to pick solo lanes that can win and really help push Auto Orange, and then they usually put bot on weak side, which I really noticed. And even in this game, Gangplank is a weak side top laner, generally speaking, right? They completely shifted their gameplay to just play towards top side, and you even saw Shady get caught bot side playing weak side. He wasn't ready to play weak side, so I was just very surprised that they swapped it up, but overall they did a really good job of doing that, and Gangplank got really fed. And as you saw in those last couple fights, he did a ton of damage.
Yeah, he was collecting souls at this point. He might as well be threshed with his barrels, bro. Disgusting with how much he did. But man, closing thoughts from you as well.
It was really great to see Maryville come out and finally like put it all together and win a UPL split, right? They were a little rockier in groups than Wildcard were. Wildcard went 6-0, Maryville went 4-2, but they just absolutely ran the table in the bracket stage. This was they just dropped one game in this entire series, and it was that weird game 3. But other than that, they were perfect once the playoffs started. They put it all together, and they can be proud of that.
Oh, honestly, I know I would be, like, with how far this overall team has come. I'm elated and socially excited to see how they develop along with the players from Wildcard Developmental, right? We know they have a bright future ahead of them with what they've been able to do, and I cannot wait to see how both these teams develop, as with all the teams in the UPL. But, ladies and gentlemen, it pains me to say so, but this will be our matches in our season 4 now. So I do want to thank you, Sasuke and Maddie, for coming up with us today, man. Wonderful to have you all. And genuinely thank you all for your big analysis as always. Big shout out to all of our guest analysts and for coming out through the entire season. Of course, our casters who make everything possible, Noble Fox, Travesty, Mad Magical Beats, Boulevard, our producers and observers, Hypertension, along with Kai and Ebrom, too, always making us look good. Big shout out to Emily and Cindy as well, who help make this possible. And J2 for rocking it on the socials as always. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, without all that being said, I've been Ravish, the most ravishing man on the internet. I thank y'all for watching. Have a good night. Peace.
Bye.